woman wrote an article about how she is white passing despite having two dark-skinned black parents. She talked about how she has taken it upon herself to specifically confront racism in the white spaces that she is given access to. She contrasts herself to another white passing relative of hers who completely abandoned his black family to live as a white man. The author decided to live her life in direct opposition to this. But should anyone who is black, whether they are white passing or not, have to specifically fight white supremacy? Is this some God-given mission assigned to each of us as we exit the womb? Or instead, is it okay to go along to get along? All right, so we'll go ahead.
Yeah, so like let's address the very first important problem right here. A woman wrote an article. No, I'm just fucking with you.
True.
Fuck with you guys.
Hey, Prime. She never said she had dark skinned parents.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did. In the article, she did.
Really?
Yeah,
because
scroll
in
down,
the
there's a
photo,
picture of them.
Yeah, but they were light skinned to me. Some of them.
They were,
At least
they were my color. If I'm
We're
light skinned.
gatekeeping the darkness of their skin now. Can we move on? Let's continue.
No, her mom looked light skinned, but yeah, whatever.
They're the exact same shade.
Maybe it's the picture quality. You know, black people don't get captured well on these old Kodak films. Okay.
Probably.
Go ahead.
Anyway, like the first thing I thought after I like read this shit was I was like, I gotta see her skin color. Like, because that's the first thing you think. That I saw the picture they put of this woman and she looked like really white. She looked really like it's different from someone being like Logic is like white and then like, you know, Blake Griffin is white or what have you, and then you're like when you're looking at them you find out they're black and you're like, all right, I can see like the tinge. I can see like the redness in the hair and the tinge. Like this woman is white. Like she not albino or something, she's white. And from there, I mean, I don't know, man. That's a hard question because like I don't think it's your God-given mission, but it's a really good excuse. Like if you want to be one of those people that like that takes this upon yourself like a mantle and makes it your life mission to do so, this is a really good excuse. But I don't think like you're put on this earth to like to fight some sort of like against racism or something. I don't think that's like what you have to do. But I will tell you this, that if you have black parents and you're from a household like that and you experiencing like racism around you, you're kind of a shitty person for not doing something about it. You're kind of like a pretty shitty person. The same way like if you grew up in a household where like let's say your father beat your mother or something, and then you see those activities happening around you and you just walk on by because you don't want any part of it, you're kind of a shitty person. But it's not your mission. It's not like you were not put on this earth to go out there and be like fucking Russell Crowe or some shit and like beat the shit out of like people who beat their wives and stuff, you know.
And Russell Crowe beats up people who beats their wives.
I'm thinking of L.A. Confidential. He was the cop that was like the cop you could call upon to do the real types of justice, like that primitive justice shit.
To fuck some dude up. No, I can dig that.
Dude, that was the good Russell Crowe. They've taken Russell Crowe and they made him into this old guy that is just forever a gladiator. But like I remember Russell Crowe. I remember the real Russell Crowe. He was out there in the streets, bro. He was out. They had him in all the roles, bro. Before they made him a narc and like what was it, American Gangster? Russell Crowe was out there, bro.
I'm gonna remember this. Amazing. Again, I don't know how everyone follows this intro up as always, but Chris, give it a try.
Look, I don't think it's everybody's God-given mission, right? But like, I think, every black person's, but I think like it's on everybody to call out any racism or white supremacy they see, right? Not just black people. If you're in a space, right, you see some messed up shit going on, some people saying some fucked up shit. If you don't agree with it, I think you should like say that, like acknowledge like what's going on and like call that out, right? And I think it's kind of like shady if you don't. Right, I think you're kind of a coward if you don't. Now, does everybody need to be an activist? Right? Does everybody need to go out and fight on the streets and like protest against this shit? No, not everybody's built for that. But if it's like in your vicinity, if you have a bunch of friends that you know are like fucking racist and you don't agree with that, right? Say something. Like I think it's that simple, right? Whether or not you're like a white passing black person or just a white person in general, white people should be trying to fight white supremacy too. Like you don't get a pass. You're just a shitty person if you don't. Like, that's it for me.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's go to Jamal.
I mean, if you're black, you're kind of born opposition of white supremacy automatically, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should. No one is obligated to do anything. But if you feel as though you can be a person to make a real change, especially in the case of this person who happens to be white passing and is people who are white are a lot more comfortable saying things around her, so they slip up. They get caught, mask off. I like that. I like that gotcha shit. Like, yeah, I'm not white, by the way. Like, oh, I didn't mean to say this around you. Yeah, no shit, you didn't. I love that shit. I think what she's doing is cool. That's
all right. Let's go to what are these? I only just read Joe Lewis's name.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
My man Joe Lewis, please.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I sent this to Prime last week, I think it was, or the week before.
Last week.
Yeah, my biggest frustration is that I'm starting to get really sensitive to things explicitly written for white people. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Where I think for most Black Americans, we don't get the opportunity to just be able to correct people of our racial identification. And so often white passing Americans are used as this like prop to like, I don't know how else to describe it in a way that's like comfortable, but just like being used as a way of being like, see, white people, there are people
Perfect
watching
ally.
what you say.
The perfect ally.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so weird to me, like, because of course, like, we know that people get comfortable in their spaces when they feel like they're able to say things around people that look like them. And it's just kind of how it is. Like, I see I live in a predominantly Asian community. You know how many Chinese people fucking do this shit when they walk past me sometimes? Like, I'm sensitive to that shit. Like, am I gonna lose sleep over it? Nah, but like, for me, like, something's got to give in that. I don't know how many more articles that are designed for white people, written with white writer, like a white audience in mind, for white people just get on board of like, hey, maybe you should like stop being pieces of shit when it comes to race issues in the United States. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. But I think people at the same time can they're just gonna do whatever they feel is comfortable. Like, if you're comfortable fighting back against institutions of power, whether that be like political, economic, or social, then you're gonna do that because you feel like that's the right thing. If you're not, like, it's gonna take a lot for some people to get on board with that. But generally speaking, like, for me, like, I have certain avenues that I'm passionate about that I try to push back against, and others I just kind of like, there's other people who are equipped for that fight that are like way better than me at it. So I think for most people, it's gonna kind of pick and choose their battles. But I will say that for most white Americans, especially, they just choose to not go to battle at all on anything, and then argue about pronouns for 3 weeks. So
You gonna rob them of this though, Joe? Like, this is like the white passing Black person. This is like their win scar, bro. This is their moment. They everything leads up to this fight, and it's like you hear that, and like, how can they not pull out Tetsaiga, bro? How can they not? How can they not use the weapon they were given by their father, bro? Like, come on.
Oh man. We'll get to that. Dream.
Yeah, so with this topic, I think you don't have a God-given duty or whatever. I do think you have a moral obligation to at least be reactive to the racism that you see right in front of you. Like, I'm not saying like you're walking by and you see some racist shit that you stop yourself like, hey, like, you're actually involved in the conversation, and then you hear some racist shit, then you'll be like, hey, that's actually not cool. And here are the reasons why. You do have a moral obligation to fight against injustice. Otherwise, then you'd be okay with others not fighting for your injustice. I don't think people are like, if you're in a position of injustice, you would probably want others to fight for you. So if you believe that, then I think you have a moral obligation. to fight for injustices when you do are in the thick of things. Like, I'm not saying go out of your way, but I'm not saying you have to be proactive, but you at least have to be reactive to the racial injustices that you see. And with this person, I think she did a great thing. Use her white privilege and correct people. And I do think that in terms of like when your life is threatened, you shouldn't be, or you should try to. You don't have an obligation to fight for justice. Like, for example, like Jews in World War II hid or like disguised themselves to be Germans in order to survive. So it's like if you're a white passing person and you're surrounded by Klan members, hell yeah, white power, white power. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have a obligation for your life first, and then once you're not surrounded by a Klan, then you can, fight injustice.
Okay. And finally, Gambit.
Yeah, so when I first saw this topic, I knew that this person had to be a little bit older than me. And I don't think most people know, but like DNA paternity testing wasn't what it is today.
I'm joking. You fell.
Bro, we all were thinking it. I'm just saying.
Nah, I'm joking. She was born after the 70s, and it was like I think 80% by the 70s. Before then, they just did blood type. But yeah. So I'm joking about that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is your God-given or whatever y'all want to say. Yes, you should be fighting racism. I think of everything in terms of I have children. Even before I had children, I think a lot of like the future of having children, and I think that we should all want a better world for our kids. So to me, it's not even like a question that we should be trying to fight those type of things in advancing our world so that the people after us have a better life. So yeah, but yeah, some of the stuff she faced, I've seen it in a lot of different ways. Like I have white friends who are like, more progressive, and they have like parents and grandparents that like talk about black people around them, and they tell me how that's like kind of sort of like uncomfortable for them. And then like even me, I've been in certain spaces and they try to call you like the good black guy and you're different, and I'm always like, no, I'm just regular, just like everybody else. There's really no difference. So yeah, it's a lot of ways that these like type of things come up, and I think that we should be combating them on all fronts, whether you're the white person that's uncomfortable because your family members are doing it, whether you're white passing and people are doing it to you because they think you're white, or whether you're the good black guy or whatever the hell they try to call people. And I think all three of those issues, you should be fighting them, period, because we want a better future.
All right, up to the panel.
No. I was talking to an individual about this. Do you guys have those moments where it's like, where you have the light-skinned individual that might come into the fray and then appeal to the sentiments of like the white people against black people? And like, so you'd be like, you listen to like music, or you listen to something that's that's coming from black culture, and it's like, all right, this is something that maybe it's easier for black people to understand, but everybody takes it, everybody listens to, everybody likes black foods, everybody likes like black music and what have you. And then there'll be someone who'd be like, oh no, it's okay to dislike that, it's bad music, it's not written well, or what have you. And they do this in white crowds, and then they get the boost from like they become the black friend. Do you guys experience that, or is this like a weird phenomena?
No, yeah,
Not around me.
I mean, I've seen it where it's like people will say crazy shit where it's like rap music is inherently violent and all they do is talk about money and whores, and then they'll jump over hoops to try to like validate and defend the fact that they listen to Eminem and have every fucking lyric in their back pocket. Like they're mad quick to bring up like an Eminem bar, but then it's like, oh, Travis Scott, he talks about drugs, I'm uncomfortable with that. It's like, all right, like I guess.
But you got them counter-revolutionary black people that come in there and they'll be like, no, I got you, white people. You're wrong, black person. You're like, it's good to hate on this music. It's not good music. It's not that great. Look at them. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're dressed. It's laughable, and I hate that. I hate.
Yeah, I'm always wary. I'm super wary about it now as I get older, because sometimes, like, God, I don't know how else to describe. I'm a little tired, so I'm probably not gonna be nice today. Where it's like white people want to say really shitty things about black people, but they're waiting for that their black friend, or their favorite black Twitch streamer to say it, and then it's like, see, I was thinking it the whole time. He thinks like me, based, and then they just start dogging on people. It's like, yo, chill. It's like we see this happen with black people. We see this happen with women. We see this happen with trans people. It's like it's gonna.
You get the co-signing thing. You get the effect of, well, I mean, problematic black person just said this thing that I know is problematic. What do you feel about it? I mean, they said it. I just want to know what you feel about it.
Yeah, and then they bring it up in like some posts of like, hey, like I was watching the Breakfast Club and Bozy was on, and it's like, oh, okay, like what did Bozy say today? and it's like, I kind of agree with it, but I didn't know it was like a problem. Like how do you feel about it, black person? Like,
you people are all a monolith, right? How does this make you feel?
Yeah. Or like they'll say some shit like, God, what's that movie? Hold on.
What was it about?
Mark Wahlberg was in it.
Oh my God, it's not breaking it down anymore, man. Shooter? I don't fucking know.
No. Fucking
God. Pain and game. Like,
what is the point? Where are you going with this?
God, I'm trying to think of it. He plays like a brother, and like his other 3 brothers are black.
Oh shit.
Oh, that.
Is it like just like brothers or something?
Yeah,
the
it's
one
like-
that
I
had
think it's
like
literally called Brothers.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
with Tyrese. It's with Tyrese and who's the other?
3 Stacks. Andre 3 Stacks.
Yeah. And then like you'll get someone's like, I just saw that movie, and it's like, okay.
It's a banger.
Yeah, just wondering how you feel about Mark Wahlberg's character. It's like, bro, I don't care. It's like I don't know how to make it stop, but the Huffington Post article is somewhere in the line of where we gotta
No,
stop.
but that's the worst part. The worst part is you've seen that movie and you do have ideas. It's kind of like it's like, hey, have you seen Black Panther? It's like, why are you asking me? Why me? And yes, and it was a great movie. What do you want to talk about?
Do you think Wakanda could ever exist in our real life? Like,
How do you feel about Miles Morales? Wow.
Or they'll pull up
Let's talk
that Stan Lee quote when he's talking about Spider-Man. It's like, the reason why I put a mask on him is so that anyone can imagine that there's Spider-Man. And it's like, no one's gonna talk about how weird that sounds. Like, and like you can say the same thing about Iron Man, but like at the end of the day, every time Spider-Man has pulled his mask, by and large historically, it's just been a white guy. But always Peter. He's Peter. But then when you make him black, he's Miles. Like,
well, black people don't name their children Peter. So.
They had some switching of vowels around, I'm sure, at some point in the writer's room.
Have you seen that the article or about the head of diversity, the chief of diversity, was saying that Luther wasn't black enough?
The movie, show with Idris Elba.
With Idris Elba, yeah. He's like,
It happened a
Luther
couple
wasn't black enough. He didn't eat enough Caribbean food.
Sorry.
He doesn't have any black friends.
Sorry,
And
who
I'm
was
like,
it?
I never.
Damn, dude, he didn't really have black
chief
friends.
of
That's
diversity.
crazy.
Hold on. The chief of diversity of what? Of the world, right? Like, I don't know.
BBC network.
Oh, BBC.
He's
Okay.
actually right, bro.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about. I never thought about it because
But it's like
thinking
I
about-
never cared
didn't have
watching the
black
movie.
friends.
Like I'm watching the show and I'm like, this is a really good criminal cop show. And it just so happens to be a black guy. It's like, I know. Oh man, where's his black friends? Like, what is this chief diversity officer thinking?
Wait, I haven't seen that show in a while. Was there's at least another black actor in that show, right?
Yeah,
Got
they
it.
were, but
But Luther was just by himself usually. He's
yeah,
alone.
he didn't have any friends.
his boo thing was like the white chick with the the redhead, and then his friend in the police force was like the blonde lady, the like badass lady who would let him get away with stuff, and he was like his whole role was being like Russell Crowe. No, I'm just his whole role is being like the guy that wants true justice, and he has anger problems because of his life, bro. Oh my god, that is funny though. That there weren't a lot of black. Later on they added like other like detectives. I'm not sure if they were black. I just know they added the chick Rose Leslie.
Yeah, there was one specific black woman. There's black people all through the show, but like Luther didn't have any friends. Like the only friends he had were in the police force, and they were like mostly white. Like. So like it was like the article. I don't know. The woman brought it up, and it was weird. But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I may have friends like in instances of like friends trying to get me into conversations about rap music or about whatever like question about Trump or something, right? And they're trying to like lead the conversation into me agreeing with what they didn't say yet, right? But like me saying like, oh, Trump's all right, like, you know what I mean, or like rap music is bad or some shit like that. But I don't think that like in real life I don't have those experiences because like you just get roasted, right? Like, or like we might be fighting because like in real life, like if I know you that well, then you know me, right? Or you know the friends I'm around. Like if you're racist, like we're gonna roast you, and like. But I feel like when it comes to like online spaces, that happens a lot, right? You're sitting, you're chatting in a group, right? And somebody wants to debate, like, and they want to ask that black person specifically what they think, so they can get into that debate, and right, challenge them and whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. I don't know, like,
Which is why I'm proud of all of us because I haven't inspected everybody's Twitter account yet, but if there's anything that the discourse over the past 2 weeks so far has taught me, I think when it comes to these saltines, we just let these white people fight. That's what I think. I think that we don't say, well, every black content creator doesn't say shit and just let white people fight.
Yeah, but honestly, I have been enjoying watching that. I haven't said a single word on it in any public place. I've just been like,
what y'all talking about? So the reason why I wasn't interested in that whole conversation is because I knew people just wanted to say nigga. They were like, yo, this word means nothing. There's no historical. It's not racist at all. Like, no, like people should be able to say whatever word they want. And I'm like, I saw through it. I think I hit time.
No, but that's the whole point. You toe come on, Gambit. You're supposed to toe the line. You're supposed to watch Godzilla and Mothra fight, and then you see Mecha Godzilla come up, and you say, "You get your ass back in that fucking cave." And it's like, okay, and it crawls back in. Like,
but you saw it like it felt like it's like it was like they're getting like a super suit or some shit. It was like almost like when you're roadie and you get gifted like the secondhand armor. They were sitting there, they're sitting there in the moment. It was just like, well, this does feel kind of good to be oppressed. It's like, yeah, it is discrimination based on the color of my skin. Whoa, I can do this.
And then they go like, "What's
Wait,
this button?"
Joe Louis says. That's how I feel right now.
Like, what is this button that says all slurs are bad, dude? Well, Jesus Christ. Black people have this all the time. Yep. All the time. It's like, this is amazing. How do you use this power? We don't.
You know what's funny to me is like this white woman or this white passing woman has lived the life of future Drake's son. So,
oh Lord,
Drake's son gonna have to take notes from this lady
or Tiger's girlfriends.
Tiger's girlfriends.
But okay, all right. So like, I think it's interesting that some of you guys think it's like not an important thing that you have to do, right? Like to like confront this white supremacy, because like you're saying that it doesn't bother you at all. Or that like you could have a white passing individual who gets access to all these spaces, right? And then some crazy shit gets said by a white person because you know it's going to happen. Wait, it's going to happen. and they don't say anything, right? Like they don't have to out themselves necessarily, but like they say nothing.
No, I think they should. I think they should say something.
Right.
I know
But then
you
there's
do.
there's like the duality in it, right? Because it's I mean I've seen it happen where it's like you see something like crazy happen in like the zeitgeist of a situation, and then you see that white passing individual in a higher position of power and a position of leadership, and then sometimes they just don't say shit. And then but then when they say shit after black people drag them, because it's like, oh, like when you were like, because I've seen this happen with like teachers, I've seen this happen with people at my job, in and out. I've seen this happen with colleagues, where essentially it's like one of the challenges that you have when you are in positions of power is that like these people are more than willing to find someone else to replace you off the bat, like straight off of the rip. Like they won't give a fuck. They will dig. Like for me, right? Like when we see this in practice on panels, where like if a black person on a panel is a little too pro-black, you get all the fucking righties digging through the Twitters and all the left-leaning individuals digging through Twitters. And it's like, oh, look at this tweet all the way back from 2017, where like, oh, you said like, oh, are there black businesses in your area? And it's like, that's a little weird, bro. You want to talk about that? Like, why? It's like, my point is that when you're in position, like when you see people, whether it be black Americans or white passing black Americans in positions of power, like people are quick to fucking make sure you are out of there if you take any stance that isn't within the consensus of that group that you're in.
True.
I don't know how to fight that.
Didn't that happen with that principal?
Yeah,
in
in Texas.
It's
Yeah.
He said CRT is fine, and then he had a couple of like ordinary photos with his wife on a beach, and then it's oh no, she's white. let's like.
Yeah. I think like one of the problems is like, yeah, I do want people to do something personally, but it's like seeing the structures we have in place that make it hard for these people to do something, and it's almost like asking for like some level of charity, saying like volunteer to do this thing when you're not incentivized. So it's like if part of the goal is to have black individuals who understand these things in positions of power to enough of an extent where everyone who's black doesn't really have to deal with these problems, like how will they get there if there's people above them that may be like racist? Like you're expecting somebody who has a racist boss, or someone who says something, maybe they're not racist, but they say things that are racist, and you expect them to like speak up and almost miss this opportunity. How far can they really go if every individual who's black has to fight this battle? And will they ever be able to get to that position of leadership? It's going to be extremely hard. And so it's almost like,
oh no, go ahead. I thought you were done.
Yeah, so I was gonna say like so it's one of those things where I'd want them to do that, but then I also acknowledge that the difficulty in doing so, and I'd want to promote a system in which they don't have to fight that battle in the workplace or where they are, where it could affect their lives in such a way, because it can be a losing battle. But I still want people to I want sacrificial lambs. I want both of these things, but I'd rather not have to sacrifice, you know, people that are doing the right thing, which it seems like we have to create martyrs to get the success that we want.
I think like you definitely want people to be strategic, right? But I do think there's a level in which you have to be willing to risk something to gain something. So I don't think like you need to be in the interview like, yo, y'all niggas better not be racist here. Like, right, that doesn't make sense. I think there's a level that people should be uncomfortable being racist around you, and that should be enforced through your attitude. And when things do happen, there need to be like an address of that situation. And you know, you can go about that strategically. You ain't got to be guns blazing, but I do think it's important to keep a aura of Yeah, we definitely can't be racist around these guys. Like, I
mean,
think
yeah,
that's
for your own
important.
self-respect, yeah, you should definitely speak up, especially if you're in the area, like someone said earlier, your life isn't at risk or anything like that. This is not like, the Klansman's going to come to your house tomorrow, and if you have the opportunity to speak up and hopefully address what this person is saying in a good faith manner, in a way that makes them either change their viewpoints or has a better understanding of how what they were saying was offensive or problematic or racist, that would be the ideal thing to do. Not everyone can do that though.
Right. I think the best way to like combat like these types of like biases people have is to like a lot of my friends had like some sexist ideas, and I would always like, hey bro, that's not cool to say that, and I would explain to them why and X, Y, and Z, and then like after like hours of conversation, they'd be like, okay, I see where I was doing was wrong, and then I just keep saying that and like have that aura is like, hey yo, my circle's not, if you say some sexist shit around me, I'm gonna call you out, all right? And so like I never really had to deal with like some real racist stuff around me. Not in recent times, at least not in college. But it's like, because like most of my friends is black anyway, so it's like I never really hang out with white people. But
White people
So-
are dope, man. You should hang out with some white people, man.
I do. I mean, I have before in high school, but then they just ditched me as soon as we graduated. So it's like, whatever. And then what happened was, so it's kind of like the way you deal with like sexism, like the way I dealt with sexism, at least like in my friend group, is like how I would prescribe people should deal with racism. It's like, you see it, you call out. It's like, not from a, oh my God, you're such a horrible person. Be like, hey, yo, that actually what you said is not cool. And be like, why do you even think that in the first place? And then they say some bullshit usually, like, and then you like me, I'm a logician, so it's like that's actually very illogical for you to think that X, Y, and Z reasons. So it's like you gotta come at a place from a logical reason. Like I used to be a black supremacist myself. So, and then somebody hit me with some logic and be like, oh, okay. So it's like the way you combat like white supremacy or any bias is like just with logic. Be like, actually, that's just very logical, and here's why. So it's like that's what I think.
I don't know about that.
Sometimes that's not enough. Yeah,
No. Of course, not in every instance. That's how you solve it. But it's like,
What if he introduced some like black supremacy right there? He's like, well, if you're black, you should be the best at being rational and explaining it to us.
Oh no, what's happening again?
But seriously, talking like I prefaced this statement by saying this is from a friend to friend conversation. Like a random stranger is not gonna really be open to listening to you, but because your friend is your friend, they're probably more open to listening to you than not. And of course, if they're not, then are they really your friend?
Like I had some friends say some wild shit to me that they didn't logic themselves into. So like me feeling like no matter how much logic and facts I would give them, right? There's like they didn't get themselves into that situation logically. I don't think that's gonna get them out of it. But like you can try it, like you know what I mean? Like you can.
But I mean,
like,
yeah, I agree with you. Like a lot of people come up with positions illogically, but kind of like pride themselves in thinking that they came with the position logically. And then when you give them, it's like, actually, that's not logical. Then they're like, hey, I don't want to be dumb. I don't want to be seen as illogical. Let me change my position. At least that's how I was, because I pride myself as like, I'm pro facts. I like logic. I like truth. And then when somebody pointed out to me that what I was thinking was illogical, then I was like, oh shit, I need to change my position in order to stay consistent.
I wanna stay a little focused on this topic. Okay, so I think so. Like this relative of this woman who decided to go like full on white, right? Like just like I'm be a white man, right? If you read the article, he goes like, yeah, I'm walking down the street. When he was walking down the street, he was like still in the same town as the rest of the family. He wouldn't acknowledge them, right? He moved out and he was done, right? Like I'm just going to be white, and that's the end of that, right? Like if there isn't a moral obligation, right? Then of course we're going to do that. Like of course it's like, okay, we're gonna fuck off, right? Like I'm going to take advantage of this, right? Like I think so. Actually, let me ask this: was that an immoral act to just be like, I am white, I'm dropping all of you, right? People drop their families for all kinds of reasons, right? And some of them, I think a lot of us agree are legitimate. Maybe others they wouldn't. So is dropping your family, just like completely abandoning them, to be white, is that a neutral act?
That's kind of whack.
Nah,
I mean,
that's why.
I'd say, well, wait, maybe we can fight. I think it's neutral. I think it's just a generally neutral act. I think like if you think it's good or bad, it's gonna basically like, how do I say this? What you think is good or bad, I think it's gonna be directly influenced based on your like ideology and what you advocate for. Because on one hand, it's like, listen, like it's a hot take, but your family is under no obligation to love you. Like their only obligation is to raise you, period. You want to be in a family that loves you and raises you, but at the end of the day, like family can be shitty towards you, and you can abandon that if you choose to. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe you find a new family in whatever this magical white world that you run into, where you change your name to Chad and your wife's name is Janice, and you have 2 kids, Bradley and Dorothy, and they go to schools in their charter program, and you pick them up at soccer every day, and they do taekwondo in the afternoon. Oh, fucking
Tell me
hell.
why those kids are still gonna want to say the N-word. But dad, grandpa is. That means surely I can.
I mean,
I don't have.
I
I don't have an
gene
issue.
skipped people because they have white genes in their ancestors. So like in terms of them being like lighter skin, it just comes from like their whatever their heritage. So I mean, I feel like his children has a chance of coming out like relatively dark or like light skin black, which I feel like if you're going off and masquerading as a white person, like, and your wife is also white, and then she has like a slightly dark baby, it's like what?
That's gonna be
there's
dope.
some confusion
That's
there.
gonna be.
well, yeah. I mean, and
No, that's a great
something-
movie. That'd be a Jordan Peele movie where like the kid's dark, and then the kid is like sentient early on and just says shit when the mom's not around. Like, I know what you've done, nigga. And he's just like,
Tings.
I do wonder what like other black people like that's met her feel about her light-skinnedness and her blackness.
Yeah, I can imagine there's definitely some people who would be like, you're not even black, but
Well, that's the problem with like racialization, right? Where it's like there's 2 things at play. There's like what you affirm yourself to be, and then what others affirm you to be. This is the whole problem with Rachel Dolezal, where like people on the outside like affirmed her to be something, and then she'd affirmed herself to be something else. And then the question is like, do you want to respect what somebody affirms themselves to believe, or do you think that your belief of what that person is holds more weight than what they believe? You know.
you know she in some freak shit. You know, like you know this chick be like her mans be like, yeah, you my Nubian queen, yeah.
Bro, hey man, like and the thing is too, which is kind of like, and Rachel Dolezal is a good example here because like I talked about this before. She vlogs on YouTube. She has an active ass channel on YouTube, living her best life, and you can say it's cringe all you want, but she's more authentic than a lot of people on the internet about what they affirm themselves to be. Like, this is what she affirms herself to be. Then like, who like? My question, I guess, is like, who cares what we affirm her to be? Like, this is what she thinks she is. So like,
I don't
are
think
we
it
saying
matters.
trans? You can be trans race.
Trans race is a fucking. I'm gonna say it's retarded. Like, I think it's a stupid thing to fucking bring up. It comes up all the time about like the idea of like what trans racialism is. It's such an internet conversation that's so divorced to the idea of like you can like we should try to reject racialization. You know, like that's really what it comes down to, right?
That's
where
true.
it's like if people
No,
wanna.
redneck black, bro.
What was that?
Redneck is black, bro.
Apparently, I got a little gamer there, but like my frustration is that like the question of like how do we racialize ourselves gets lost in certain conversations about our expression, like because like again I think it's like resorting to the reason why I push back on that pretty hard. I didn't mean to go full gamer there, but the reason why I push back on that so hard is that like we that internet conversation about transracialism is so divorced of like the question of how do we reject racialization in society, because like it's very clear that these categories that we create don't
wait, Joe.
have a lot of weight to them.
So
Wait, Joe, can we-
That's true.
before you go
That's
there,
true.
before you go there, one, I don't know how you square this with your previous comments, but we'll get there in a second. Two, so I did not know Rachel Dolezal had a YouTube channel, so I just like went and took a look. Right, her baby, right? And I'm not calling the kid out, but just like she named the kid. It was like a 5-year-old.
Quintarianus.
Close.
Yeah.
Langston Atticus Dolezal.
Shit.
She like went full.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, like, I just like, I interesting how she just named it after like black,
Langston.
you know, like I got Black history. You know, she went that level. But like,
There she.
and her kid is darker. Like, I'm curious what the pod looks like. But like, so
Maybe
she
she's out there.
is living. Yeah, she's living her best. Like, I didn't know she went back. I thought she like detransition. I'm just gonna use that word. I thought she
Yeah, no, she
detransitioned.
never stopped. That was the
she-
part. That's the only
she
reason why I
left all
investigated it further, because like you would think like one of the things that I think like the internet when they just realized what the word transracial was, they were hoping that like when she got outed as being a white woman, she was going to go back into like whatever like grift existence of. And my argument was always and still the same of like there's something to this where like she did not go back to what people wanted her to be. She just essentially doubled down like and just kept doing her own thing in a more private capacity, you know.
But,
Sorry,
like,
I cut you off, bro.
Yeah, I just
go
one thing.
ahead.
So it was Gambit and then Chris, right? But I don't know how you square what your past statements. Your statements just now, were with this that the transracialism isn't a thing.
No, I'm not saying it isn't a thing. I just think that the debate around the idea of transracialism, like one, is disrespectful to transracial adoptees, but two, it's like it's avoiding the actual question of like how like do we need to reject racialization or should we reject racialization, like, or should we let people be allowed to affirm who they are? Because again, like we know that like even with this example within the article, it's very clear that what we talk about in terms of racialization doesn't have a lot of like there's no weight to it. Like, what is it to be white in America? What is it to be black in America? What is it to be Asian, especially Asian in America? When we know that like no racialized group is monolithic, but then you'll hear Asian Americans unironically posit ideas that they're like, or they posit like especially white leftists, like they'll posit certain ideas of like Asian excellence and like, why is this minority group succeeding so much greater than other minority groups? And it's like, oh, if you start breaking this down a little bit deeper on what's categorically Asian in the United States, oh, there's a lot of these Filipino Americans that are not part of the top of these wealth these wealth gaps. Like we see that despite there being like gains in different communities and marginalized groups, like they still have issues along ethnic lines. Like this is kind of why I personally have argued that like maybe ethnicity is a better way to track where people are from, and then maybe we might be able to move away from racialization in the States. But then the question is, right, like what happens with black solidarity? What happens with black power? What happens with Asian power? White power, that can go fuck itself. White power can go fuck itself. We're good with that.
The question is, what happens to nigga in this world?
What happens to racial slurs? Like the one thing about the word in question is that the word, like the N-word, right? That is not only a racial slur, but it's also an ethnic slur and has duality in that utility. Like,
I was gonna say, to answer your question, I think it will transition from being a racial slur to a colorist slur. So calling somebody the N-word is no longer a racial slur. It's just because it's a colorism thing and / cultural thing. So like I do think that the de-racialization of society is pretty preferable thing, because I was born in Morocco. I'm Moroccan, right? So I immigrated here when I was 5 to San Francisco. And in Morocco, I never, and even my parents, like, we never claimed any race. Like, when you live in a homogenous society where everybody's like basically the same, of course, people are different shades of skin tone, but we never thought of them as different races. It's just like, oh, some people are darker, some people are lighter, some people have different facial features, but it's like, oh, it's not a whole different race. Like, we're all Moroccan at the end of the day.
And you
Like,
wanted to go to college, and then you're like,
well, but
Well,
when I came here, it's like everybody's like, "What race are you? What race are you?" I was like, "I'm Moroccan." I was like, "But no, well, actual." It was like, there's like I had like a identity crisis until like high school. It's like, okay, African American, black, sure.
And that's
It's
the
like-
problem with racialization too, right? Because like when you start boiling it down, like God damn it, Africa's enormous, and from one country to another, there's vast ethnic differences. But because of how rigid the categorizations that colonizers made to put people into groups, it stops making sense, because it's like, okay, like if you like, are Dominicans black, or are they just Dominican?
I think they're black.
Don't ask a Dominican that question, because you might get into a 5-hour argument. Like,
Very true.
is it like, even when like God damn it, like even
it's pretty racist too. Like if you're white and then you say like I'm European, there's an extra question. But it's like if you're like dark skinned and someone says like, what are you? And you say like, I have African descent, they just accept it. They're just like, okay.
Let's go to Gambit and then Chris.
No, I was just joking with Joe.
Chris.
Joe's made me think about like this transracial like thing. It's just like, for me, like I'm completely like against the whole like this whole thing. Like I'm like against people debating it. It's just like it's not even the affirmations of like how people are like from themselves to be. It's just like how they use those affirmations, right? Like Rachel Dolezal taking a leadership in a black like organization, right? That's like extremely misleading, right? She's putting herself like in sort of this leadership role representing people when she can't, like, when it comes to being black, I can't escape that, right? Like it's not something I just like went into. It's not something I changed because like what's in my like head, or it doesn't matter how I feel in my head. It doesn't matter how I feel biologically. It is what it is. I'm black, right? Whether I like want to like admit that or not. So like transracialism is something like it's like it's so weird, and like it's just so like it's not even me who decides that what I am, right? It's society that like I'm like in, right? Well, this American society that I am that is choosing that for me, and you can't escape that. Like, because whiteness and like is a thing, because blackness is a thing, because racism is a thing. There's dynamics at play that like this is like this is like a much harder conversation. It's just something you can't just jump into, especially when you lived a life of privilege and then trying to use that to your advantage becoming black. I don't know.
It's like the idea of like if you're somebody that is like oppressed in some way, and then you don't have ownership, and it's a large part of it is like that ownership. And if the only ownership that you're given without question is the color of your skin, is like that category, it almost feels like someone's entrenching on that one sacred thing when they start saying, "Oh, I'm that thing too," and then it's like the one thing you were given unquestionably for yourselves is now like in question. It's like now that is getting taken away, and there's this feeling of lashing against it. And then the arguments that are used are the same arguments that you use to have some level of like equality or to like get out of this box, and it's being used against you to take the one thing that you have. And then it asks this question of like, can we have one thing? Can we have ownership, or should we give up everything to what we see as an oppressor in order to get this equality? And it's like it's really conflicting. And the easy answer that I would take is like, no. It's like you should have some level of ownership over something if you're an oppressed group, because like that's part of your history. Historically, like that is something that is that is something that divides you from these people. And if there's some hurt there, if there's something dangerous about it, it needs to be healed. It can't just be wiped away overnight. It needs to be healed.
I was gonna say,
I wanted to, like, okay, you're saying that the one thing you have ownership is the color of your skin. So then, if the white woman, the woman who wrote the article, right? This black woman who is white passing, right? If she comes to you and she says that, oh, I am black, right? Even though and you don't know anything about her. This woman actually has some like really terrible experiences growing up.
So after I laughed, what?
Exactly.
I have a question.
So no. I want to focus on this. So like, do we affirm her, right? Affirm her for her heritage, right? Like, you don't know anything about this person, right? And she could be saying anything, right? Right? She could be another Dolezal, right? Should we affirm this person?
Well, that pauses weird. That pauses weird
to.
questions. Go for it.
I want to speak on behalf of black passing person. No, I don't have to affirm her. I don't care if her parents. I don't care if her parents are like are black, what have you. When she goes to a store, she's white. When she walks around, she's white. And if she wants to be an ally to the movement of, if we want to get more specific, people that have dark skin in some degree or perceived as black by society, that's great. And I welcome that. But if she's just white passing, like, and she wants to speak on behalf of people that are like not white passing who are black, fuck no. Like, fuck no.
So it should be like how white people give passes to other people as they come into the country, like in this country specifically, like I think it was Irish and whatever, like they eventually gained whiteness. Are you telling me we can now give out blackness to other like, ethnicities that come here?
Gambit, yell at Wiggle for me.
What is this? Wait, you're saying that a real black person can't talk for black people because of the pigmentation in their skin?
Yeah,
really?
Because she's speaking from the experience of somebody that isn't her. She's speaking from the experience of her parents.
But people, even though she's white passing, hold on, wait. Even though she might be white passing, there are people that have learned that she has black parents and have mistreated her solely based off that.
Yeah, so they have learned that of her, and then she can talk about those experiences. Because those are experiences that she's had herself.
That's a black experience. That's a black experience.
But it's not the experience of looking white and walking around and being perceived as black. That is a very different experience.
It's like the life of a mulatto.
It's a measure of.
I want to understand in what way would you treat her differently? What are you saying that she would not have access to that me or you would have access to?
No N-word for her.
For the first and foremost, if she speaks on the experiences of somebody who has to deal with implicit bias based on the color of their skin, no, that's literally the only thing that I'd be like, you can't speak about because you have not experienced.
But she has experienced prejudice based off her race.
Yeah, but not color of her skin.
How many times? Well, how about from black people, right? Who have a similar opinion as you do, right? Who are judging her for the color of her skin.
But I'm talking about speaking about black. I'm talking about speaking about being oppressed for being black. If she's talking about being oppressed for having white skin, yeah, she could talk about that. But if she wants to talk about the experience of being somebody that has black skin when she does not have black skin,
well, I mean, this kind of calls back.
First and foremost,
she could talk about it without having experience.
She could talk about it. Yes, I'm not saying she's not allowed to talk about it. I'm saying that
Wiggle,
it has
can
less.
I ask you a question?
Yes,
I want to see how crazy this goes. Yeah. So if you have a rich black child that doesn't grow up in the hood, can they not talk about the dangers of growing up in the hood? They got to just avoid that conversation?
First and foremost, they can, but you're already discounting the first thing that I brought up is the color of her skin. I'm not saying like her upbringing or she can't talk about her personal life experience.
I'm not talking about
she literally does not have the personal life experience of having black skin.
You're saying that one facet of blackness she doesn't contain, so she can't talk about it. So
that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying she cannot talk about that one facet of blackness.
No, that's what I
Which
just
is one
said.
of the largest parts of blackness.
You literally said back to me what I said to you. I don't know what you thought was different than that, but that's exactly what I said to you. So what I'm trying to figure out is you're saying, hey, she doesn't have the black skin, so she can't talk about issues derived out of black skin. So reasonably, I said, okay, what about a person
I
that
want
has
to
it dealt
clarify.
with-
I want to clarify just because people on this panel hella sensitive. I want to add
They're
the
not
extra part that
sensitive.
she can talk about it, just less effectively. She'll talk about it less. Thank you. Before you guys are like Twitter fingers. You're like, what? She
No.
can't talk about it. You know exactly what I mean. She can't talk about it effectively.
I have a question.
never
I can talk about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hold on,
It's
wait,
not that
Wiggle.
effectively if I'm not somebody who's directed a movie. Like,
Wiggle, I'm not being sensitive right now. I've never ran into like a colorist in real life. I thought this was like a meme. Like, I thought this was just a meme, but there are really like you really exist. So I want to engage with you to figure out how you reason this out. It's not
Yeah.
a sensitive thing.
yeah, I feel like you have engaged in this at some point. You have heard of someone who has these opinions, and it's pretty laughable that you haven't. If you're this old and you live in America, like,
do you
no,
have the same
you're
opinion?
fine. You're fine.
Hold on,
You're fine
hold
with
on.
somebody down the street who looks white going there and talking about, well, when I go to the store, like, they look at me and then they think that I'm a criminal because my parents are black. What the fuck? What the fuck?
I don't think she ever. We gotta take
Just
claim.
like you're black.
Well, there's
unless you're
I'm talking
This
about
is
the
like-
color of your skin. Literally, she can
Bro.
speak about the color of her skin, but it's going to be less effective if she does not have black
Let's
skin.
get some other people in here. Chris, talk to him, and then Dream, and then Joe Lewis.
I don't know why we
I
went
mean,
down this
saltines are
line.
tasty.
Look, I think all people like should be able to speak about the oppression of black people in a way that like is trying to inform others, right? Your opinion on that matter or your thoughts on that matter may not be as valid because you don't have that experience. I can see that, like I can see where you're going with that, but like I don't even think this woman even tried to use her position in that way, right? Whenever she brought up something about being black, right? She like, and even in an article, she brought up her father, right? The struggles that he went through, right? That affected her life in a way, but like I think she's just like she's like saying specifically like she's white passing, she's like she's seen as white. Like that's not the issue. The issue is how people like behave around her,
Yeah.
not knowing like she has that heritage.
are right. It's just the question being posed was a hypothetical based off her saying that if she went and did the things that are being discussed, how would I feel about it? Not like if she does it. It's if she did it in this hypothetical, how I would feel about it. Like the idea was like if she walked in and then she did these things and she said that she was this, how would I feel about it? Not like what she would act like what she actually has done in the article.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you
So
don't feel
like yeah.
And
I
just to
would
clear-
take
Yeah,
her
I'm sorry, go
experience
ahead.
over. I would take her experience over like Rachel Dolezal's, right? Because she like has that experience, right? That like the heritage of her family affects like the life she's living now. Even if she's like white passing, right? She's still like her family may not have been as like successful in their endeavors because of their skin color and things like that. So that affects her. I had this experience I had an experience with a woman, right, when I was an Uber driver. I get into the ride, right, and we start talking about some things that's going on downtown in the city, and it was just like they have a whole bunch of free stuff here, right, and like all the white people were there doing that, and she was just like, yeah, us black people, like we don't get to do all this stuff. And I'm just like, this woman, like I swear I thought she was white, like in every possible way, right, and it like hit me off guard, and like I didn't know how to respond to that, right? So I just continued with the conversation to see where this was going, if she was going to do some explaining or anything like that. She just kept like just continuing on with the conversation.
Wiggle would have been like, "Hold on, wait, you're not black enough to be speaking."
Like, yeah, like first and foremost,
Look,
like
this is so
yeah.
bad. I can't believe. I think you're memeing. I think
Yeah,
you're doing
memeing.
this.
First, I think you didn't see the picture of this woman. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like
But even
yeah,
still,
would you like an individual who has not experienced what it feels like to go outside and then have dark skin and being acted upon for having dark skin in a negative fashion talk about that experience as if they had it? No.
Wait, so are you
But they never
eliminating
did.
the experience of biracial people
talking about this.
who are lighter
So what do you
skinned?
mean?
It's
There-
not about lighter skin. This woman is white. It's like you guys are acting as if I'm looking at what the people on this panel, and I'm saying you can't talk about what it's like because you're not as dark, and so therefore, like people are not. You're still black. If you're on this panel, I'm looking at all your faces, and Joe when he puts this on, you're black. This woman, she has blonde hair. She's pasty white. She's not like she does that. Society wouldn't look at her and be like, she could be black. She's just lighter skinned than the other. She's not light skinned. She's white. She's white.
Listen.
But that's hold on.
Assuming she's had a paternity test, she's black for
A
sure.
dream.
But I was gonna say that like I wrote down some notes. Like I think there's like 7 factors of blackness, and they're all like inconsistent, right? So there's self-identity. Do you self-identify as black? There's skin tone, right? There's hair type. There's facial features or bodily features. There's culture. There's how society views you, how other people view you, and then there's like hereditary aspect. None of these things are consistent, right? There's some people that don't identify as black. It's like, nah, nigga, you black. Like there's that that black girl that was
I'm
on.
not black. I'm OJ.
Exactly. There's this. The black girl that went on. What's that show though? Cash Me Outside show.
Oh,
Maury or Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. There's this black girl that went on Dr. Phil that said, "I'm not black. I'm white." And everybody's like, you hella dark, like you black. So there's self-identity, that's not consistent. There's skin tone.
None of that matters except
What's it
heredity.
called? The Catch Me Outside show. All right,
No. It's a different. It's okay. So like, it's a different girl on the same special, and everybody forgot about that other girl.
Yeah.
So-
I just forgot the Dr. Phil's name. That's all. But anyways,
Yeah.
moving on. It's like there's skin tone. There's albino
None of
people.
those
Super light.
factors matter. It's only heredity that matters.
That's
None
what
of
I'm
those other
saying.
factors matter.
All of those don't matter, and the only thing that's consistent is hereditary. Like,
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters.
and so it's like, how can you say that somebody's not black, or you don't view them as black, when that doesn't matter?
That's
Because
why.
there's some people
just
that
remembered.
there's some people that view me as black. There's some people that view me as white, and it's like, huh?
Okay,
There's some people that think I'm Indian. I was like, I'm not.
I just want the record to show. Sorry, I just want the record to show. We're not talking about Bad Baby. We're talking. Her name was Treasure. I don't know why I forgot about that. Probably because her name is Treasure. But anyway.
No. Okay. Thank you for that information. Okay. So what about? I've asked this question before in this panel. What about a person who, like has white skin, grew up in a white family, maybe like in terms like got adopted as a child, right? For all intents and purposes, has been like growing up in a white environment, right? Whatever that means. And believes they are white. Are they black?
You're saying they have black parents?
They have 2 black parents, just like this woman, but she got adopted by a white woman, a white family.
She's black.
She's black.
They're black.
Do they have black
white culture? That's it. They're black with white culture. That's white passing.
You mean me? What? You just talking about me? It's okay.
There's one parent.
If they have black,
I know, like dead ass. Like it's literally me.
Yeah. So you take ethnicity aside, right? And you drop that person anywhere in America, they're gonna experience racism because of the darkness of their skin. They're gonna be qualified as black, whether they like it or not.
No. I mean, like a white skinned person, like this lady, but put in a white family, and she's never told she's black.
She needs a paternity test.
Oh,
that's the only thing I'll agree with Wiggle on. She needs a paternity test.
She gets adopted. The parents don't even know her parentage, right?
I just took.
Well, I'll tell you what. She wouldn't be getting an article then, would she?
Oh,
well, I think there's again this is kind of reinforces my idea that this floor that we created for ourselves is basically rice paper reinforced with concrete, where it's like we continually like get examples of like, hey, like racialization in the United States and what colonizers created as racialization doesn't really fucking stick. But what sucks about it in the United States is that we made laws for the shit and reinforced it in the shit. And then like every year, and granted, a lot of other countries do this as well, but we also every 10 years go, what are you guys? Like, what is everybody? Be sure to send it in so we can figure out the makeup to figure out how districts work. And it's just like weird, where I think like a better way of approaching it is like, what do you affirm yourself to be? What do others affirm you to be? And then ask more like deeper questions of like, have you experienced negative outcomes based on what people affirm you to be? And it's like, okay, if the answer is yes, like, okay, well, what were those interactions? What were those conversations? But that would be an argument of like vastly expanding what the census is. And we can't even get fucking people to fill that shit out.
But okay, sorry. Like, I want to fight on this point. So this woman, like, I'm trying to be a bit more sympathetic to my man Wiggle here, right? In
I
his
don't need
position.
sympathy. I'll fight all you guys on this because y'all whack as fuck. Y'all whack as fuck
Okay, all
right now.
right. Well, but the point is that like, if she is white passing, and literally no one knows, including herself, does not know that she is black, right?
Still black.
She's still black. She's having a black experience.
Why don't you go the exact opposite?
And then at the end of her life, she gets a paternity test, right? She gets, she gets a genetics thing. It's like, oh no, you're straight black, right? And at the end of her life, she starts saying like, oh yeah, like I know what it is to be black, right? She's like 90 years old. She finds out, right? And then she's like, yeah, I know the black.
Different.
No.
Saying you understand the struggle of being black and being black aren't the same.
That's what Wiggle's trying to get to you, right?
I know, but Wiggle's being insane right now. I've never seen
Being
Wiggle do this.
insane? The fact, all right, first and foremost, man, I hope you find, I hope your manager is white, passing. You think they're white, and then you hold a grudge against them for months, for years even, and then eventually you start talking to the other people around and go like, can you imagine this guy? Like, he'd be saying that about black people. He thinks he's like, it's crazy. He thinks because he listens to music, he can say this shit. And then I hope you go to his house, and then you find out that his parents are black. All right, I hope you have that experience.
And that will be an educational
I
experience.
mean, if you're having a grudge against someone because they're white, you're kind of in the wrong.
No, it's not a grudge because they're white.
No,
it's because you're experiencing something that someone else has not experienced, and is then speaking about your experience. That's literally it. It doesn't have to do about. You can take that away from skin and do it for. It's like if you were in the military, and then you were somebody that was like boots on the ground and you got shot at, and someone who never got shot at, never had to do that, is talking about how they were in the military, and then that they didn't have that experience, and they're like, yeah, I was in the military. Like I had to do all the things that you think that I had to do, etc. It's like that. It's just someone who's talking about.
Because she's not lying, though, right?
Yeah, she's not lying. She never claimed to have an experience.
But that's the point. I agree with you. The point being is that originally the hypothetical Prime gave was if this woman, outside of the article, the same woman did this extra thing, and I'm talking about that extra thing.
Really?
I'm not. Yes, that's what we've been discussing this whole time.
What's the extra thing?
Yeah,
it was.
If she was in a white family and all that stuff, right? Yeah, she was a white family and she didn't know she was black. But hold on, but wasn't your answer still the same when in this current version of her, right? Having grown up in a black family, your answer is still the same, that like she can't talk about these things because, or no, sorry, not can't. I know what you mean, right? We know, right? But like like that
her word holds less credence. That's what.
Yeah. But like, okay. It holds
but
less.
I want to clarify
Okay.
that what Chris was saying is that, like, it's true. It's like she doesn't go around saying that like she knows what it is like to have dark skin. But in the original hypothetical, it's like, okay, it's like, what if she was speaking as if she was somebody that knew what it was like to have darker skin? She was speaking as a black person. That was my critique of it. But like Chris pointed out, she doesn't do that. So this person's good. It's just in the hypothetical, like, she does that. And that's it. That's my problem.
Yeah, I think we're all against liars. I don't think anyone's made that point.
But it feels like in this argument, there's people who are like, she's not it feels like Gambit, when he comes back, I'll address it again. And it felt like you earlier, and then maybe Jamali were like, yeah, like, she's not a liar. She has the ability to say these things.
No,
it's crazy. You're colorist if you say she doesn't.
No, I'm saying she has the ability to talk about the black struggle, of course, because she has part of the black, like her narrative is a part of is one of the many narratives within the black struggle. Having black parents, but being initially seen as white, but then when finding out, oh, you're black, and then we treat you differently. That's still a part about the black struggle narrative. And then on top of that, because she has black friends, because she has a black family, because she knows of people who experienced the black struggle and presumably did studies on it, or not study, but research on it, she can talk about the black struggle and know what she's talking about. And as long as what she's saying is true, I would still hold her word with a lot of weight. As much I would hold any white person talking about the black struggle, but not saying, oh, I've experienced it, but like black people have experienced it.
So then you agree with him,
when they talk
basically.
like that, then it's like, hey, that's all good.
So then you agree with Wiggle
Yeah,
then.
it's like
Yeah,
if
no,
you're,
but what he's saying is like, if you speak about black struggle as a white passing person, I hold your weight less than if a black person was like a dark skinned person.
Yes, I
was saying. That's
do.
what-
Specifically
which I
because
disagree.
specifically
So we're not agreeing.
because you're losing a large part of it. A large part of it is like the part that you don't get the choice. You don't have these things that you're experiencing based on the color, the looking at somebody and judging them. You're not. It's like if you were you're a mixed race, and part of you is like some form of Asian, and the other part of you is some form of white, and then you don't have the features of somebody that is like Asian or seen as Asian in American society, and then you speak on behalf of what it's like to be persecuted or oppressed in some way for being Asian, but you don't have that experience to the same extent at all, because as you walk around society, you're just a different type of white. You're seen as white, but a different type of white. And then whereas somebody who society would deem as Asian is seen as Asian and looked at as Asian and treated as Asian. And then I'm just taking that and moving it to the idea of black. Like if you're
Sure,
somebody who's like,
I
yes,
understand that, but that's
Wait.
not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is you're talking about from a point of, hey, my personal experience is this. It's speaking from a dark-skinned black person's experience. But what I'm saying is, what if this white passing person was not talking about her personal experience, but talking about the overall narrative of the black struggle? Would you still take her word with less weight, right? Not saying that she's not saying, hey, I personally experienced a dark-skinned struggle.
yes,
No, but she's
I would,
saying,
because like I could probably get a better word from someone who had those experiences. So her word literally has less weight.
But if she says word for word, no, that makes no sense, because
Yes.
you're attributing somebody's identity with the validity of their statement.
Yeah,
but it doesn't
No, it's their
necessarily-
experiences. Like
No,
her
but somebody
experience-
can speak.
Yeah.
Somebody can hear an experience and verbatim talk about it. Like I haven't experienced Martin Luther King's,
Yes.
life, but I can talk about
Yes.
Martin Luther King.
But I can
You know what I'm
imagine that if somebody has experienced Martin Luther King up in the flesh, then they would have a better word than you. Because
But
they were
I'm
there.
saying,
They have
but
the
if I were,
capacity. They
but
have
if
the
I were to-
capacity to have a
but
better
I-
word than you.
but if I were to verbatim say what they would say, you would take my word less weight, which doesn't make sense. It's
Yes,
not
because
logical.
you haven't physically
You're not a
experienced it.
primary. You're not a primary like.
I know,
source,
I
right?
understand, but what,
Uh,
your bait that's like an emotional feeling rather than
An
a,
emotional
hey,
feeling,
no,
but we
that's
hold
not-
we hold it
that's
true
not
to
what
we
No,
hold
no,
it
no,
true
no,
to
no.
like in historical, like that's like saying, all right,
I
like if you're
understand, but
making a movie and you're writing a character that is supposed to be like a black Latino character, like I just played the Spider-Man game, so let's say you're supposed to write Miles Morales' character, right? And let's say you don't have the experience of being Latino, black, anything, and all you know is that you're writing this character how you perceive this character to be. I would imagine you would argue that you should reach out to somebody that has had those experiences to better form your ideology. So their word can be stronger than yours, and you take their word to strengthen yours.
I'm not
Like you
saying
want to just
don't
write the
confirm-
character on your own. Like
No, I'm not saying don't. Of course, you have to confirm. Like
yes,
like obviously,
and in
you
doing
say-
so, you're no longer your word. You are now what you believe, an accumulation of the people you spoke to.
right. But what I'm saying is, if you know what this white person is saying to be true, why
Yeah.
hold their word to less credence? Like if she's just literally saying factual statements, saying that black people experience this is the black
Yeah.
struggle. It makes no sense for me to be like, oh, she's white, she don't know what she's talking about. Like I don't understand that.
I
kind of do.
I will give you the premonition.
Let's go.
Sorry.
Let's go to Chris, and then let's go to Joe after that. Okay.
I think you like taking it too personally. Like, yes, a white person can talk about these struggles, and like, there's still a secondary source, though, right? So they're taking the knowledge of what they know about Black people, and then they're spreading that word, right? It's like, but it's okay for us to be like, all right, you say that, and I might like, I believe you, but you're not the primary source. So like, I'm going to go like for better understanding.
What if they was there when it happened?
Source.
What if they had racist people around them that told them how they feel? Like this doesn't make sense.
I think you're still misunderstanding, right? We're talking about like, what we like when we're receiving like some like sort of statement, what we review as a primary secondary source, right? So if you want to know how it feels to be like Black, right, somebody or how people feel being treated as Black, right, a white person can give you all the right answers of how that feels, but they're not the primary source of that. I can still take their word, but I wouldn't.
How it feels in a description of what's happening are different. And we've most been talking about the description of what's happening, not internally what emotions did it evoke in you.
Yeah, if you're at an event that happens, right, you were personally there, you give your account, you're a primary source, right? That no one's taking away that.
That's what I'm saying. They can be a primary source.
Yeah, you're just describing it like you're just describing the situation as you view it. I'm saying if like what I think what more Wiggle is talking about is like the personal experience of being Black, right? Black, like white people can talk about that and like acknowledge that, right? But they're not the primary source of that. They're the secondary source. So you don't like that's not, you can like still believe them. You should like they are still allies. They still help.
The primary cause.
But they're not.
But you can accept that. You can accept that Black people that don't phenotypically represent like us could have a unique Black experience and also talk about that and be just as valid.
Yeah, but imagine I spoke about their unique experience as if I experienced it. Yeah, they wouldn't like that either, would they? Would they?
But no one wants that. Nobody wants that, dude.
I think that. Well, I think based on the language that's been used so far, I think it kind of it rubbed off like that. But I know it's not what you meant, so I didn't say it.
She's white and not Black. The lady from this article, he said this lady is not Black. Y'all are minimizing what he said. That's
no. She is not Black passing. All right, her parents, have you?
You said she was Black earlier.
We can acknowledge that there's like a difference.
Wiggle, is she Black? No, Wiggle, is she Black? Yes or no?
What is her ethnicity? Yeah, perhaps she's Black.
Perhaps.
What is yes. I don't.
We don't have that. We don't have that.
We can say.
Hold on. This is trifling. This is trifling. You want to put me on the Inquisition?
No, Wiggle. Am I perhaps Black or am I Black? Am I perhaps Black or Black?
No. What I'm saying is, first and foremost,
can you listen? Am I perhaps Black or Black?
Can you? Are you willing to listen? All right. First and foremost, like I said, I read through this thing. I woke up and read through this thing, so I don't know where her parents are from. I see the pictures of her parents. They're Black. I don't know where they're from. So yes, I said perhaps because that's what you do when you're speaking, right? You add caution. Yes, I believe perhaps she's Black from her parents. Yes, but I'm talking about her skin color. She does not pass.
She could be Polynesian.
Wiggly. According to your logic, can that Indian man that shaved his head and
what Indian man that shaved his head?
Hold on,
Dr. Heimdall?
Hold on. The Indian man that shaved his head and filled out the medical school application to get into medical school as an African American, based on affirmative action, he got into it. Can that man who was seen as Black by the people that saw him, right? Can he speak on a Black struggle because society views him as Black because they can't distinguish?
He can speak about the part of the Black struggle of being perceived as Black. Yes, because if you're perceived, if your parents are white and then you have Black skin, and people treat you like you're a Black person, and then they use that to discriminate against you, yes, you're experiencing one of the most quintessential parts of being of racism on behalf of people who are not Black, perceiving you as Black and labeling you as such. And it's laughable that you guys can even say that, especially you. You went to an HBCU, and it's crazy to me that you guys don't understand this concept.
Wait, nobody said that thing that you just said isn't possible. No one.
You guys keep doing this. You keep looping where I explain something really logically, and then you say nobody is saying that. But you said that. That's crazy. Like what?
Hold on. Wiggle. Refer me to any one statement we've made that a person that phenotypically represents as black couldn't talk about black racism.
I 100% keep saying the same thing, and you guys keep trying to play this straw man that I keep calling out. Yes, where I say they cannot speak on passing as black, and then you guys keep saying, so Wiggle, are you saying she can't talk about the black struggle at all? It's
no. That's not what you said. Okay. No, you modified your stance because I think I forced.
I did not modify my stance.
You modified your stance a few times.
You definitely did. You said black passing. You said black passing, dude.
You said language is hard.
You said at first, what was it that you can't talk about this, right?
Because when I'm referring to her as white, Gambit, is I'm referring to how she looks. And then because of that, you say, but her heritage, her ethnicity. So then I clarify. And then you say, oh, but that's not what you're doing.
Earlier you did it.
It's happening.
So that's like me taking your meme statement and going like, you believe that she needs a fraternity.
When I called you a colorist earlier, I was like, yo, I've never really ran into a colorist. You were calling her white at that point.
Yes, I believe that she
perhaps black.
Yes,
like you've changed it now.
Yes.
Can I just try and parse out exactly what you're saying and what we're saying in terms of like this argument? So I think what you're saying, Wiggles, is more or less that she is not as able or not as allowed, or not allowed, but like not as important in the conversation about being discriminated on based on the color of her skin because she is white passing, whereas black people would actually have the more authority to speak on the being discriminated on based on the color of their skin because they are not white passing, they are black passing, or as you would put it. And what we're saying is that she's black, so regardless of whether or not she's being discriminated on based on her skin color, she still has enough authority or enough as much presence as the next black person to speak on this, because in some form or another she has been discriminated based on the color of her skin and based on the actual race that she is.
Well, no, I think
he was speaking for what my statement was, so I'd say that I agree with most of what your depiction of it is, but I believe that I would correct the very early part that she would have experiences that are like very unique to her that I probably wouldn't be able to speak on, other people wouldn't be able to speak on, that are extremely valuable, perhaps very valuable outside of what I'm saying. But then I wouldn't invalidate that and say she doesn't have the authority to speak on that. But I do agree with everything else that you said, that I don't think she has the same qualifications necessary to talk about being black passing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I'm confused, because like I think we all can accept that because of how she looks, and like there's a contradiction to what she affirms herself to be and what others affirm her to be, and she can speak on that. Like she can speak on the ideas of like white people, as she did, of like white people being comfortable around her about the racism, and then like her having to check it. Like she can speak on that. She can speak on how her privilege and how her ability as a white passing black American has affected her in America, and how like maybe she got ahead in the line in different places that like she might not necessarily realize, and maybe realizes it in post. Like there are things that she can talk about, but specifically when it comes to the very particular problems that come with having brown skin in the United States, like she can't talk about that because she doesn't have the same skin tone. She can talk about like, again, like she can't, because there's going to be somebody in chat who doesn't fucking know how to read and hasn't washed their asshole in 5 months. Like that she can talk about particular experiences as it relates to her skin tone, but we'd be wary. I think anybody would be wary on the ideas of like, hey, like there's like a deeper level of like context that she even has to be given in order. Like she mentions being called like the white N-word, and the only reason why that would stick is for her to relinquish that context. That would be the only reason why anybody would call her the white N-word, because on its face you would just assume her to be white. But the only reason why white N-word sticks is because she had to give that context that she was black. That's not something that somebody should just like look at her and be like, oh, I can tell based. We know that. Like we can like, because we're black Americans in the United States. Like we had to deal with our identity all the time. So we can easily, I would argue, sniff out who's white passing faster than a white American, which is exactly why like white people probably say crazy shit to her. Like it's the same problem like when people talk to my girlfriend, people like, oh,
I'm still here.
oh, like people always talk about how my girlfriend's Latino and it's like, yo, like, and they say like, hey, mommy, what's up? And it's like, motherfucker, she's from Pakistan. Like, come on now. You like, if you look at her for longer than 30 seconds, you can clearly see, oh, she is not Latino.
Time, Joe.
But that's
30 seconds is a real long time, bro.
Yeah, okay. I'll say 10 seconds.
And I want to, and to further that point, it's like, yeah, I've had a lot of people call me a bunch of things like Dominican, Indian, Latino, but it's like if you're from and Puerto Rican especially, and
people think of them like if I wear sunglasses, oh, bro, I get dogged. If I wear sunglasses and I'm in like marching band shape, people fucking call me Big Papi. Like I can't get a fucking burrito in New York in peace.
Dominican as fuck, bro. What you mean?
Yeah, because they're like hey, Big Papi, hey, it's like, oh my god.
I don't speak Spanish. Oh no.
And I'm like, hello, sir. How are you? Can I have a quesadilla, please?
I want to give y'all a quick synopsis of what Wiggle thinks happened. Wiggle thinks he
wow,
said, hey,
Gambit, you do this every time, bro. You hold this obstinate opinion, and you keep trying to hold something.
I just want to tell the people what you think happened.
You think first and foremost.
He's not censoring he's censoring me from talking.
This is talking. You're talking about me.
Yeah. Wiggle thinks he said, hey y'all, I don't think she can speak on issues that derive from black passing, and we all went nuts. That's what Wiggle is trying to get these people to believe.
That is actually true.
And as the prosecution,
that's exactly true. I do agree.
I want y'all to know that this is absolutely asinine. We all heard everything that he said.
This is the beauty of people knowing you, Gambit. Everybody who knows Gambit, he does this bullshit.
Listen, I'm gonna load up Twitch chat, and if y'all think Wiggle is right, drop a 1 in the chat. If you know he's lying, drop a 2 in the chat.
You know he's lying. No, but I mean, like, there's something to that, right? Like, what are some things that you guys think that she can talk about? I mean, obviously, hopefully we all read the article.
No. They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I say that, and they're like, "You think she can't talk about things? You think she shouldn't be allowed to talk?" But when Joe Lewis says it, it's okay. We understand you mean like she can be less qualified.
She can talk about
dirty chatter.
She can talk about any true thing that happened, and I'll believe her, and I'll be like, "Oh, cool. She knows what she's talking about." If she's talking about, oh, you know what I'm saying, like, there's systemic racism in America. Look at the disproportionate rates of incarceration. Look at the redlining. I'm like, okay, cool. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah, cool. But
I think the frustration, and this might be why maybe some people are a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying we as in like people on the panel, but like I've fucking been there time to times. Like, you ever have that white friend who just kind of says some shit about like an issue about race, and then like all their like you see like all the white people who are listening like, wow, that's really introspective. And I think it's like, nigga, I told him that. Like, what the fuck?
No. That's true. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where the wariness comes from.
If you're doing, I understand Wiggly's like hesitation. Like, you think she might be like performative. It's like,
no, or like, let me clarify for the 100th time. I don't believe
I understand.
The article is very clear. The hypothetical was, all right, take this person in the article. What if they did this thing? And I thought that hypothetical is performative. No, the article's really clear. She doesn't do performative shit. She's a perfectly fine person because she doesn't do the shit that I'm saying. The thing is, if she did that shit, I would have the opinions that I have now. That's literally it. Like, if she went out, the person from this article went outside and then started saying, I know what it's like to pass as black, because I get persecuted for this. Yes, I would have the words that I have now, but she doesn't do that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Like I
Yeah,
would never.
I think
I
we'd
would,
also-
I would never say. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly how it feels to be a dark-skinned person. Like I would never say that, of course. But I would still say dark-skinned people have this experience in America.
Exactly.
And it's like if she said that, I don't see anything wrong with that, right? And I wouldn't take her word later. It's like you can speak on behalf of other people's experiences as long as that experience and your take on it is true and factual. So I don't understand.
Well,
Like,
Dream,
what-
you could also agree, however, which I think is the most important part of the conversation. If you are in a hypothetical scenario where the waiter or waitress brings back the wrong food, you're sending her to the front line. You're not going. She's going. Personally.
Yeah. I say
Like,
that like
she's talking to
running-
the manager. She is saying that the bill for the drinks is wrong. Like she gets to fight that battle.
To be
Let's
honest,
put
to
what
be
you
honest,
believe
I think
in
black
macro.
women are really good at that too. Like my
Right.
girlfriend, I tell my
Let-
girlfriend to do all that. Like my girlfriend is like my outer voice. Like I'm too shy to speak up when like my order's wrong, but my girlfriend's like, nah, baby, I
What
got
the
this.
fuck is wrong with you guys?
We
Just
can-
know
we
that
can
you
take
got your
what
shit
you-
wrong. Don't be a dick and get your food right. What?
You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to be black in America.
Industry. Just
They diminish our order.
We can take what you say and then put it in macro, and we can say, okay, so like imagine a bunch of people that are white passing who have these experiences or what have you, or say that she's having in like the article, and then they do the thing in the hypothetical, and then they speak on behalf of people that are black passing, and it seems accurate. It seems accurate, and then white people who have white skin, they're perceived as white, like those people then take what they say over perhaps what someone else might say, simply because perhaps this person looks more like them, this person, you know, sounds more agreeable to them, and then as time progresses, these people are like the voices of said movement because they're perceived as, you know, these are the friendly people that hold these ideas. I like what they're saying. It makes more sense. It speaks to me. And then eventually, let's say what they say no longer holds true. And what they say no longer holds true. And you say, that you were right for the last 3 years, but you guys aren't so right anymore. However, they're still being listened to by the majority, and the majority will still look at them and say, no, they speak. For the longest time, you guys were saying like they speak well for everybody. For the longest time, you guys said they're the good spokespeople. So like now we're supposed to believe they're not. And then you get fucking Bill Clinton. All right, then you get fucking Joseph Biden. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Listen, I think white people can definitely talk about black issues. I actually encourage it because I think that's how we spread what's happening more. I do agree with you that there can be dangers and there can be, you know, the worst president of all time since slavery, aka Bill Clinton, parading around like he's black, invited into a black fraternity. So I agree with you that there are dangers, but I still think fundamentally I'm okay with them speaking on black issues for sure, without question.
But you ain't gonna like, all right, when they speak, the whole point is you ain't gonna keep your ears perked. You ain't gonna keep your ears perked. You ain't gonna stay in the room. You ain't gonna hear.
I might. Yeah.
You know,
They-
come on, Gabby. You know, she said if she said some shit of like, I know what it's like to get pulled over by the police. It's like, oh, word?
Gonna keep walking.
Okay.
All of those things are there.
I'm not gonna stop her, but I'm gonna hear her out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with
for
that
sure.
too. There's nothing wrong with that, of course.
Everyone hates the police. Fuck the police.
Yeah. She can
Yeah,
say,
and
I
then
know
she
what
might
it
say
is.
something. Like, she might say some shit of like,
They only stopped me because I was black.
I don't
I mean,
hate
it's not
that.
because I was black. It's like, can I
You
see
know-
your ticket? I feel like
Yes.
you were going 30 and a 40. So
You know what the funniest thing? I've actually had a friend of a friend do that. So like my ex best friend's girlfriend's friend, who was an eighth black, right? And he's like fully presenting Asian, like an eighth black, like his great grandfather had some black in him. That's how it is. And so he was like fully presenting Asian, and then he got stopped over by police for obviously like a traffic violation. And then he started recording. It's like, you see, this is racial injustice. It only stopped me because I was black. Is it because I'm black? I'm like, bro.
Wait, I don't
You're
know what his
Asian.
exact situation is, but he
You're
could have grown up in a
Chinese.
hood, or at the very least, some Asian people, especially the minority. I don't know. assuming this about your friend. I don't know if he's like a darker Asian or like a lighter Asian or whatever, but like that.
You're just a hype beast.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, low income, whatever. Like that might just be something that he actually did experience. You can't discount that.
I mean, maybe, but it's like, but the cop is not pulling over because he's black, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
He doesn't even look like his skin isn't even like darker or whatever. Like that's like
he's like a fully light skinned Asian,
like Japanese Asian.
Like Chinese.
Oh, what's happening?
What's
happening?
Hold on. Does he look as Asian as this lady looks white?
Yes. You
Oh
cannot.
yeah, he's wild.
You have
he's
no
wild.
idea. You have no idea.
The odd one. Yeah. True. Oh well, you know.
No. The funny part was like his friend was in a car. He's like a passenger seat, and he was like recording on Snapchat. Like, it's because I'm black. They pulled me over. This is a huge injustice. And his friend's like, bro, please delete that, bro. This is so embarrassing.
Don't leave that in the drafts.
Please don't even delete that from the metadata. Like,
No, but then they have people who do like the IG live, and you're like, oh my god, like, Dormammu, I come to tell you to delete this. Like, because again, like some people are
You must
wild.
relive it 100 times.
Like one frustration I have in certain aspects is like there are people who I don't know how to word this thought without being an asshole, so I'm gonna try very carefully. But sometimes you have like white Americans, especially, or white passing Americans, who navigate in such a way where they clearly understand that they can like accept and discard the racialization whenever they want, and that's the shit I really hate. Where it's like, oh, you're black. You're black when electric slide comes on, but the minute the cops show up, then it's like, oh no, I was just passing by the bar officer.
Wait, their life is in danger. Come on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing is you understand the reasoning why, and it makes sense. It's like what I think it might have been Dream that originally said that. It's like they're doing it out of survivor, like survivalist mentality. However, they have the ability to. That's the important distinction. They have the ability.
But wouldn't
we can't do that
if you had the ability to? Like, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
that's the point. That's the point. Is I would if I had the ability to, but I don't, and that's why. Like maybe maybe I'm on like that new game plus harder difficulty. Maybe, all right.
Expert mode.
Yes.
Wait. Actually, what do you guys think about that for the South Park game? That the harder the difficulty was, your race changed.
That's true.
Yeah, and the Stick of Truth, I think it was.
Yeah, the
RPG.
The darker your skin was, the harder.
That was the difficulty. Yeah, that increased the difficulty of the game.
Like
I
you just
kinda like it, I guess.
you
I
got
don't know.
tanner. Like, is that what it is?
No, you got black.
Like, was it from white black, or was it like, was there a middle ground?
Yeah. It was from white to black.
There was no middle ground.
There was a middle ground.
He's searching to make this better.
It was on a gradient.
Okay. Just want to understand. Was there
yeah,
Indian in there?
I'm seeing this right now.
Try.
So
Yeah, Prime said we're going to the second topic.
Yeah, let's go to second topic. I think.
No, I actually wanted something else I wanted to talk about. Someone brought up a Panamanian individual. They had a friend who was a Panamanian, and who had dark skin, never identified as black previously. Right? They were Latin. I believe is the story, and then all of a sudden they decided to identify as black. But they actually been experiencing anti-black racism, right? And we've seen this before. Now, and someone else told a similar story in which a person was, I guess, Filipino or something, and was just dark skin, or and everyone assumed that they were black. They didn't take the mantle of black, right? They never called themselves that. But like, are they black? Are they living the black experience at that point?
So you're saying somebody that doesn't self-identify as black but is presenting as black and hereditarily black?
If you're Filipino,
Not hereditarily
you're like
black.
black
Just
people of Asians, so like
If you're not hereditarily black, you're not black, right?
Yeah, you're
That's
not
the
black.
end of it.
are you? But like, hold
You're
on.
not black.
If the cops treat you exactly the same.
He's
that's
still not black.
colorism. That's colorism, brother.
What? How?
No,
How?
that's not-
How?
How?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah,
What do you
that's
mean,
If people in the black community treat you as black, when they see you, right, they dap you up, right? When the
Listen,
cops
too, bro.
treat you as black, they slam you against the wall, right? When society, when banks give you a worse loan, if a loan at all, because they think you're black, how is that not the black experience?
Okay, I'll explain it to you. I'm not
The
saying
black
it's not,
experience doesn't mean
black
you're black.
experience
though.
is not the same thing as being black. So I'm saying that they could have a non-preferential treatment, meaning they're being treated worse because they're being seen as black, but really it's just the color of their skin tone. That's what blackness is. That's what when people see a dark-skinned person, they're like, oh, because they're dark-skinned, they're black, whatever, right? So initially, this Filipino person, they're dark-skinned, so they're like, oh, dark-skinned. Instead of saying, hey, that's a dark-skinned, they don't really think that, right? I mean, that's like in the back of their mind. That's what they, but in the front of their mind, they're thinking they're black. But really, all they're really thinking in the back of their mind, oh, they're dark-skinned. So that's why we're treating them worse. In terms of other black people dapping them up and stuff, it's like, hey, cool, this is another dark-skinned person that probably shares the same struggles. We cool with them, but they're not really diving
Hold
in
on,
deep.
wait a minute, what? No, they're doing it because they think they're
Very
black.
weird.
They think they're
Yes,
black. Wait,
like-
what?
They
Yeah,
think
like
they're black, but
if
they
if
don't
you
know.
don't know if you don't know
Colorism-
someone's Filipino and you don't know any of that
when
stuff.
you leave America, though, you see colorism even in like Asia, India, and other places. So
That's true.
I agree with what Dream is saying. They're really in the American context, we call it black, and it's the correct thing to call it. But a lot of the people that are reacting that way, they're just colorists. Like,
yeah, it's like people say, oh, you know, there's lots of racism in Africa, and it's like, not really. It's just colorism. Like y'all think it's racist.
I hear you, but
it's
I'm
like,
talking about the States. These people were in the States, right?
yeah,
two different
and
individuals.
what we're trying to layer to you is that they're treating him that way because that's how black people are treated, but it's really just colorism. There, it's not. That doesn't make him black.
I don't see how I don't. Okay. So what I'm doing is I think I'm equating the black experience with being black, right? So that's what I'm doing, right? And I think those things should be tied. You don't agree? That's okay.
But you wouldn't call Rachel Dolezal black, though. You wouldn't call Rachel black.
Are you sure?
She hasn't
Hold on,
had black experience.
Hold on, Prime. If somebody sent you a DM and they said, "Hey, I want to come on ABE," and you said, "Okay, are you black?" and they said, "Well, I get treated like I'm black," you would not respond. You would stop responding to their DM. That's why they're not black. That's why they're not black.
Hold on. It depends. It depends on who it depends on who it is, right? Because sometimes, like you never know. You never know. Like Redneck might take that test, and then he spits in that vial. He sends that vial to wherever the government goes. It comes back, and it's only Africa shining. And then he's gonna come back in with a caftan. He remembers, like, and my take is still the same. Like I said this take in on my stream, I'll say it here. White people had to stop requesting the electric slide at parties. But if you identify as black and you prove your blackness, then you just know how to do the electric slide.
Sorry.
You hear that shit.
Oh my god. Oh god. I'm ignoring Joe now. No. Look, like I get like colorism, right? I go like, oh, they're assessing the color of their skin. It's not white, right? And like anything that is outside of that whiteness, I mean, even then, I don't know. That kind of like, to a certain point, denigrates the racist experiences that Asian people face, right? Like light-skinned Asian people face. They also face like that, like, and it's not based on colorism because racism is a thing in the States where these people are. From my understanding of these stories, right? The racism is a thing, and if they perceive them as black, sure, yes, colorism is involved, but they're like, that's a black guy, right? I gotta go fucking hassle this individual.
I think we can agree with you. We can say in the American context, somebody could receive black racism and not be black. But that doesn't make them black, would be our claim. So I can agree with you that they're being treated this way because they're being perceived as black, which is like a form of like anti-blackness or black racism.
Racist. It's racist. They're doing it based on their race, but
it doesn't make them become black.
correct.
Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make them black.
That's what I'm saying about the Indian dude that shaved his head to perceive
I'm
people as black.
I'm sitting here like I'm like, all right. If you are perceived in America, like they would assume that like when you're black, that someone in your ancestry strong enough was tied to the foundation of building this country. Like they came off slave ships or some shit, and then that's being attributed to you, even if it's not true. You could be from like fucking, you could be like Haitian, and then you live in the United States, and people look at you, and when they say you're black and such, they believe that somewhere in your ancestry, your people built the country. Like it's
Haitians
like that's
different. But
Haitians
like
are
it's
black,
everything. It's
Haitians are black. I feel like what Prime said was like a
well, it's the same thing.
Asian
If they
versus,
see
like-
somebody who's Filipino, first of all, you guys are like hearing Filipino and then thinking in your head what the person looks like. When Prime didn't say what they look like, he just said that they're perceived as black. And so what I'm saying is that based
We're not
off of
thinking
that,
about what they look
people
like.
are
We're
like,
thinking
well,
about
someone in
the
their family,
hereditary.
someone in their family, like came. Like, that's the part that's confusing me. So then, it's like, why can't you make the distinction that there's a separation there between the social construct and then the ethnicity? And whenever we bring it up, you're like, you acknowledge it, but then
Hold on,
whenever
hold
we
on. Why
say
are you
one, you're like,
separating that?
you're saying the other.
Because that's how
Why
it
you
works.
separate it? No, listen.
no,
like,
that-
because
look-
every ethnicity is a social construct. Everything's a social construct. What are you talking about? Race is everything's social construct. Whether or not it's more valid than the other, whether or not we should accept it or not,
Wait.
it's a different story. Like, of course,
This gets
race
weird.
is a social construct. Of course, ethnicity is still a social construct. I don't know why you're thinking, well, when it comes to ethnicity
These things
versus
so
social
weird
construct, like they're
things-
both social constructs.
No,
I
wait.
don't think you
We use
understand.
social constructs so weirdly.
You
right?
don't, hold on. You hold on. You don't think us categorizing things in any way is a social construct?
You're working for me here, right? Your argument's working for me.
Yeah.
What-
It's
how
a
so?
social construct, right?
No,
Because look,
a
we see this all the time, right? We see that people within Africa, right? Like people who grew up in the motherfucking motherland, right? Who came from the motherland, right? That they don't have a quote unquote black features, right? Like sub-Saharan African, right? If you like look, I mean, there's like this whole. You can find these things online, right? It's like, oh, which one of those people is black, right? And they like growing up, all their ancestry is from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, right? And you don't expect they're black. You think there's something else, but not black, right?
Okay.
Are they black? If they come here, the people don't treat them as black, right? But are they not black? I mean, they came from Africa, right? They came from the same place that you and I did.
This is me.
This
No, they're African.
is me. No. Because the social construct, like you said, right? It's a social construct. The social construct is around those features, not around my actual blood, right? Those perceived features.
But there's no agreement. There's no agreement.
Exactly. Yes. Agreed.
No.
There is no agreement.
Exactly. So you can't say
that's why when you draw these hard lines around it, it doesn't make sense. There is no agreement. There's no agreement on that white people couldn't agree on
me
what
and
was being
Joe's
right.
argument. Me and Joe have been making this argument throughout this panel that the deracialization is preferable.
No,
It's
but
so
we're not talking about. Yes, that's whatever. That's ignore that. That has nothing to do with this conversation, right? Like
How?
deracialization. Yes, great. In the future, it'd be great. We
Is this a
deracialize.
fever dream?
That has nothing to do with
I'm like
anything. Right?
locked
We're talking
in a
about.
fucking trip.
Hey,
We're talking about how it is now. We're not talking about the future. We're talking about.
Well, no, I'm saying-
I am talking about how it is now because how it is now
No,
is
I
still
don't-
inconsistent.
Well,
How
we
it
can
is now
still-
is
no,
still-
wait, hang on.
There's only one thing
I'm
that's
lost.
consistent, and that's
You know,
hereditary.
No,
The only thing that's consistent
that
is
isn't
whether or not-
consistent because
How?
we have a black woman. We have a black woman who looks fucking white, and the world treats her as white. Obviously, it's not consistent, right?
Well, we all-
She
Well,
has-
hold on.
That's
We
not what
can-
hereditary is.
we can
You're talking about
individ-
how. You're talking about features. I'm not talking about features. Features is a different
No.
aspect than
But I'm
hereditary.
saying that's what matters more. That's what matters more. If the world
To you.
treats these individuals, to
Yeah.
everyone, to fucking everyone, to fucking
disagree.
everyone. Don't give me that.
Bro,
To
you gonna
fucking everyone.
you gonna let Elon Musk say he's black and be
Yeah.
like, well,
He's not.
yeah.
I would never say that because he's just somebody that was born in Africa. People born in Africa are not black.
So then, what is black to you?
feel like-
Other than the skin color, the features.
I just-
You can't
I
tie it
would-
to land.
I would say-
having
I would say-
long and short term ancestry.
I would say black. I think black particularly refers to recently in the last 100 or so years, 200 years, during the height of the slave trade or whatever, to people specifically taken from Africa and put other places. So black people in America are black. I would not identify as African American because I don't have any African culture. I have American culture. I am Black. My parents are both Black, but they have not like done anything to give me any like African history or anything like that in terms of like my ancestral roots.
Well, then
It's
you're not
mostly just
Black. You're
American.
Black American.
Yes, I'm a Black American. I'm not African American.
But then it's not Black.
I
You're
don't know.
Black American.
But I don't think African.
It's tied to land.
Whatever.
Like,
But it's all
I
it's all
tried
semantics,
that.
right? So Black Americans.
semantics, it's pretty particular. Like,
No,
you're
I-
a
I-
Black
I'm-
American because that experience is tied to this.
No, I
this
agree,
space
I
we
agree.
call America. It's
Black
not
Americans-
a social construct out of the wazoo.
No, I
Like-
agree.
Like,
It's not out of
Bro.
the wazoo. But Black American experience, the Black to be identified. I don't identify as a Black American because I was born in Africa. So a Black American is somebody who was African descendant of slaves, raised in America, right, born in America. So that's obviously a Black American. I identify as African American, but I'm still Black, right? I do think even Black Americans can identify as African American because at the same time, African American can just mean a Black person in America. Like, it's still semantics. So that's all.
but then,
okay,
all right.
all
So
right,
then
so let's-
explain this. Like, if your parents' ancestry is African, and then you live in the United States, you were born here, and then you're looking at the list of things that you can claim for yourself. Is there going to be like 2 slots, one for African American and then one for like Black American? No.
Usually-
society will view you as
That's
the
what I'm
same.
saying. I was
You
gonna
don't get
say.
that choice.
I was gonna say it's usually both. Like every time I filled out something, it's African American / Black. So
No, look, man, this is nonsense. This is nonsense, right? Like, we had the
so
whole
bad.
talk about the N-word. The person who related this story about the Panamanian. There's 2 individuals we're talking about. A Panamanian who eventually started calling themselves Black, right? Looks Black, started calling themselves Black, and then a second one, which is I believe a Filipino, if I remember the story correctly, who looked Black but never called themselves Black, right? But both had all those experiences, right? So anyway, the Panamanian individual, right, starts to use the word N-word all the time, right? Like, guess who's not getting banned on Twitch for like yelling the N-word? Because they're fucking Black. They're fucking Black. They're fucking Black.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just kidding. It's not find out.
so anytime somebody thinks you're Black, you're Black.
Yeah, yes.
Basically.
Those all.
That's essentially what Joe was talking about. That's essentially he said this is the
no matter
conundrum
who you
you
are,
face.
no
Should
matter
we
who you
reject
are,
it or
what
accept
other people think you are is what you are, no matter who you are.
it?
what other
No,
people think you are.
no.
That's literally the logical claim. That's the premise to your
No,
conclusion.
this is the thing. This is the conundrum that you face, whether you like it or not. And then, like Joe was saying earlier, in the face of this, should we reject that as a society or accept it? And that was a question that he was posing. But it doesn't mean that this is not what you face in front of you. Like, the culture war is almost over. And the side that's winning is that, yes, if they see you as Black, you're Black. All right?
No,
I disagree with that. Sorry.
no.
What? I'm like
Good.
so
You
confused.
can
right?
disagree with it all you want. You got
Okay,
dark skin,
what
you
what
got-
race?
Like,
Hold on. I have a question for you, Wiggly. What race are dark-skinned Indians?
Sometimes you wouldn't know just by looking at them,
I'm
right?
asking you.
Like, you
Wiggly?
could you assume they're Black sometimes. Like
Yo, change your name to
Why
That's
not?
what
Wiggly.
a question in
No, no,
context.
wait,
That was
Look at me.
the question, yeah.
Wiggly, let's say you know a dark-skinned Indian is Indian, right? What
Yes.
race would you think they are? What
If
race
I
do you
see-
think they are?
if you
if I
know,
know
I'm-
they're Indian, I know they're Indian. The whole point is
like
like,
their
the
their
whole
ethnic
point is if you
features are.
don't know.
Hold on. Their
Yeah.
ethnic features are Indian, but what race are they?
Indian.
yeah, but
Indian.
because I
Yeah.
know
Oh,
they're
Indian is a race?
Asian.
That was
It
or
would
South
be
Asian.
Asian. I guess
First-
South
first,
Asian. If
first
you want
and
to talk
foremost,
about that,
first
yeah.
and listen. First and foremost, like if I know, that's self-defeating because the whole point is it's a classification based on you not knowing. I don't know your blood type. I can take a guess. I don't know. I don't know
That's not
your. I don't know
really
your
walk
relevant
around
ethnicity.
with
in terms
rapid-
of
Take a
your
guess.
actual race,
Well, there's a
right?
there's a whole group of people who really want to find that out with Black people. So let's be careful there, okay?
Chris, you wanted to say something?
I don't know why this is so confusing. Like, yes, race is a social construct, and it depends on how society makes this thing up, and it treats you a certain way because of it. So if you're
But
you're
you
you're in
keep saying
America,
society as if like society in general is agreeing to it. There's no agreement even amongst society what blackness is.
because you're trying to we're talking about on the surface level, right? We're talking about purely on the surface level. We're not talking about anybody's genetics, like who their parents are, none of that, right? So
We almost always are when we talk about race, though.
Oh God. What like?
Oh.
All right. Like race is race is a social construct. Period.
Everything else.
Yes. So when you are operating in society, right? Like the people like Prime brought up, doesn't matter if the what was it Panamanian, the person's Panamanian or Filipino, they look back black, the features black, the way everyone around them like treats them is like a black person, right? Whether it's be like through racism from cops or like whatever like systematic thing that's going on, or through the like your peers and like and
The people
nobody
around
knows
them
nobody
are gonna know
knows
these
otherwise.
questions. They're gonna ask those questions. The people around them are.
Right.
How many times have you asked the black friends you know, like where, like where exactly are they from? Do you really think about that, right?
Never.
Their family heritage,
talking about-
like that, like.
Wait, I'm talking about. Well, I was from an area where I knew everybody's parents, so it's kind of different. But I don't think there's anyone that's treated blackly in some like neighborhood and they aren't black, where like the majority of the people that are resident in that place treat them as black, even though they may not be black. No.
The experience all the time. There were so many people who grew up that I was around, especially Hispanic, right, Filipino, who said the N-word all the time because everybody just assumed.
Somebody says the N-word doesn't make them black. No.
No, it
People
doesn't.
can say the N-word.
This is how we like treated them society because like that's how we felt they were. This is what we thought they were, right? We were just
And
thinking.
you
they
can
were,
think wrongly. You can think
Mhm.
wrongly. You could be wrong about what you think. That's what I'm trying to understand here. You guys like, oh, society thinks so. Society could be wrong.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
know.
that's why
It
it's a
doesn't-
construct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but where do you think racism comes from,
Yeah.
bro?
No, but that's-
Racism is wrong. Let's delete it. Like, yeah,
No,
that's a
no,
great suggestion. But where are we
This
now?
is crazy.
No, I'm saying that's why I'm trying to keep pointing out is like there's large sects within society that disagree about what race should be and identity. It's like you keep saying it's only visual. It's like not everybody in society agrees. So it's like if society disagrees that it's visual, and it's like, oh nah, that's
You're
just a
saying
dark
there's
skinned
large
person.
sects in society, but who's winning the culture war?
How many times have you seen?
How am I
an
supposed to?
Asian
How am I
person-
supposed to know who's winning a culture war?
Very
many
easily.
times-
Like when you walk outside, what is the majority opinion? Thank you. Then we like.
I don't have the majority opinion right outside my door.
Opinion would be on our side for sure, without question.
Oh, yeah, the majority opinion.
How
would be-
many times? How many times have you seen an Asian?
Hold on. So y'all think if you walk up to most black people and you say, "Hey, here's a person that gets treated like they're black, but ethically or they have no ties to blackness," would you consider this person black? You think
That's
most
funny.
people would say yes?
That's funny because you said I said a majority opinion, and you're bringing up a minority group. Like you're bringing up.
Wait.
I said the majority opinion in the country, and then you're bringing up if you go up to a black individual, like which is a minority group in the country you live in. Thank you. And
No. I said that because we're talking in the context of AB. If you want to broaden it, yes, we can broaden it to the world. I think if you asked most people that question, they would say they're not black. For
Yeah,
sure.
I would
Without
agree with
question.
that. Like, oh,
Without
you have no ties to
question.
Africa and ancestry. You're
Without
black.
knowing,
You're not black.
without knowing what their ancestry is, they would not know. They would just assume
Exactly.
they're black.
That's
They
the
would-
question.
That
Just
is
like-
exactly Prime's question. That's what he keeps. Like,
No,
you're gonna make my brain explode.
No, it's not.
Like
no,
the-
it's not.
I know.
It's not.
Yeah, that's my
hard.
question.
Hey.
Like you don't know. They don't.
No,
like, so
you-
like the individual knows, right? For the two individuals
You're not-
talking about, they know their ancestry, true, but the rest of the world does not know.
No,
And so they
Prime,
treat
that's
them
not
with-
the question you're asking.
I'm sorry.
The question you're asking is not would people treat them as they were black if they
Okay.
phenotypically represent as black. The question that you're asking is if they phenotypically represent as black, are they black?
Okay,
That's
yeah,
the question.
yeah.
And what I'm saying is if you ask most human beings on planet Earth, hey, this person phenotypically represents as black, but they aren't genetically black, do you consider them black? Most people would say they aren't black. Now, would people still treat them in ignorance as black? Yes, but that's not your real question. That's not the question.
No,
that you
no, no,
put to
oh,
us.
no. Okay, so but these two are linked in my mind, and this is the difference between us, right? Because I'm saying their experience, like I said before at the start, their experiences equal black, right? And so I
Question.
said it before. Look, Dream, you're newer here, so you haven't been. We haven't been here for multiple Rachel Dolezal conversations. Not the first time she showed up on the panel.
Sure.
I believe talked about exactly this, right? And I've said before, my position hasn't changed, right? If she is presenting to the world as a black woman, if people are treating her that way, and she's experiencing what it's like to be black, well then at least at that moment, she's fucking black.
Hold on, Prime. Since white people found out she wasn't actually black, do you think they still treat her as black? No, they don't. Because what really matters is what she actually is, not what they phenotypically think she is, because they don't actually know her.
Wait a minute, what? No, wait a minute. That proves my point. What?
No. That proves my point. Let me ask you a question. Okay. Rachel Dolezal is black in year 2011 or whatever, right? Okay, everybody finds out, oh, her parents are actually white. Do you think the white people that found out that she had white parents still treat her as black? Yes or no?
Of course not, because they know after the fact.
Yeah,
I'm talking to Prime.
Yeah,
I'm talking to Prime.
They don't, but then that means she's not having that black experience right then. Because then at that point,
their opinion?
At that
What
point,
changed
right?
their opinion?
Yeah. But at that point, they're overwritten. Like now, if she can still walk down the street, right? And I'm looking at her now, and like maybe I don't know. But if she can still walk down the street, and because she's not tan as she used to be, but if she can walk down the street and be treated as a black person, then they're still experiencing that. Your knowledge has overwritten it, right? And changed it, but that's not the point. It's how society is treating you, right? Society, yes, a person may know. One person on the other side of the planet might know, right? Does that change their experience? No, it doesn't. That doesn't teach how society.
I didn't say it does.
I know. Okay, great. All right.
Wait, so hold on, Prime. Do you think that the Sikh people who were treated horribly after 9/11 because ignorant white people thought they were Arab? Do you think that society viewed them as Arab, or were they still Sikhs?
Of course they did.
Yes,
of course
they literally did.
Yes,
they
they did.
100% they did.
Look, does that mean they are Arab then?
I'm saying they have.
No.
Then
When
does
they're
that
in
mean
America.
are they Arab?
When they're in America,
Yeah,
they're
when they're
pushed in that
American, you're
category.
effectively
No,
Arab.
Oh.
You are
Wait.
effectively
No, you know what's
Arab.
crazy is that
It's
is
really
the idea
offensive,
that
but you're
they have to
effectively
work.
Arab. Sorry.
Yeah, like
They're not.
What's crazy is that
No,
they have to
no,
fight and argue. They have to fight and argue to show that they're not, and that's all we're saying.
Okay,
Why do you think they have to argue to prove that they're not?
Okay. Oh, I have a question. Okay.
Why do you think they have to argue to prove that they're not, even when they're right?
Okay, so
Because the culture war is won on the other side.
No,
America's decided this thing, even though they're wrong, and you have to face it.
I get this, guys. You guys are thinking I don't get it. I'm trying to make this argument, right? So, if you are making a claim that if I view you as something, then you are that thing, definitionally, or you would have to point out what makes you think I am that thing. So you guys have to explain to me when you see somebody that's
He's
black.
not going there. I've purposely left that topic alone.
What do you think makes somebody black? And whatever answer you're gonna come up with is not gonna be correct. What I just know it. Skin tone, not correct because there's light skinned people. Facial features, not correct because there's so many features in Africa that make somebody. So it's like, what do you think it is?
I told you. I've already said it already. The black experience, right? And that is primarily transmitted.
And that's it.
Yeah.
How many people?
I keep saying it. I don't know why you keep being surprised.
Hold on.
Saying
Hold on. This is what I don't understand, Prime, because any experience while being black is a black experience. So I'm really confused. It's like, what do you think the black experience is? You can literally have any experience that you have and have the black experience. You think that you necessarily have to face some sort of oppression in order to be a black person?
No,
So-
you have to have the capacity to face that.
Hold on, Wiggle or Chris. I want y'all to answer this.
Yeah.
Then you don't have that experience, Wiggle.
No,
If you have the
I can
capacity to not
answer
experience
that
that.
question, but I'll do it later.
Prime sends you an invite to ABE.
Yeah.
You say, yeah, Prime, I'm down.
Yeah.
Prime invites you to the DM group. It's a whole bunch of names you don't know. You're like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. This is gonna be cool. It's like 8 new people, right? You jump on the panel, and it's a bunch of people that aren't black that had the black experience.
Yeah.
What
And
did you do?
then I'd say that I'm one of them. I'd say that I'm white, and then you'd believe me because you're obtuse. Like I would say, like, yeah, I'm white. I'd be on this panel, and I'd go on all panels. And from this point on, all of us are white. And whether society agrees with us or not, we're all white because that's all. That's because that's the truth. Like
you would be
we're
like,
white. Society
I don't know what the hell
doesn't choose
you
this
got
for
going
us.
on.
We're white.
Yeah, like one, but because what defines blackness, right? Yeah, what defines black? I think you're asking a really good question, Dream, right? And I think you're trying to get to something very important. We talked about this the last time. Again, Rachel Dolezal came up, right? And I don't think I had as good of an answer, but like I'll try it again, right? I think our experiences as black, right? Like the whole reason of creating the black category, right, was in opposition to what it is to being white, right? Is specifically that white people are not whatever those people are, right? It was for the purpose, at least in this country, for the purpose of oppression, right? We have to categorize these people who are in chains here, right? Legally, they are not us, right? And they will be treated a certain way that we won't be treated. So yeah, that oppression, that type of oppression, that is the black experience. Yeah, actually it is. So you don't have to necessarily have that, but you have that capacity. I think like the way Wiggle put it, right? Or the capacity for that. Well, can you be threatened by anti-black racism? Like at any point in time, right? Like I can't turn it off, right? Like Wiggle was saying, I can't turn off this black skin. I can't turn down the difficulty of my life. No, I can't do that. But so yeah, that I am living the black experience. You, my friend, are living the black experience, right? Unless maybe someone's too far away from me and they're like, maybe he's Hispanic, I don't know. Right? Like you're living the black experience. Like, yeah, that's how
my man.
Maybe
That's
call it
the
like
Dark
the
Knight
black
right there.
experience
Get
plus, you know,
this
because
panel. This
that
panel
would make more sense.
There's no way now, Gambit. You black as fuck. Like you dark as like you are. Like there's no way. Like there's avenues for like all the individual on the panel, but I'd say like I heard you with the Dominican thing, but I'd be like they're just misinformed. Joe Lewis, you and Gambit are definitely, and then Prime, you three.
I love it, bro.
Super. And then Jamal, you're in the category with me and like Chris. We're definitely black when you see us up close, but the lighting could do something. And
No,
Dream, you're
this
black
nigga's
as well.
black.
You in the same
What are you
category,
talking
but your
about?
hat was lower.
I don't know,
You
man.
can-
Look, man. I don't know. Maybe.
Listen, y'all can turn y'all lighting up as high as the hell y'all want. Y'all niggas are black. This is cold. You black nigga.
This is what I'm thinking. How do you depict, right, or how do you delineate somebody that's living the dark skin experience versus the black experience, right? Because essentially, a lot of those things overlap, right?
You would say
This
like
is true.
I would go like the dark skin experience and the light skin experience of both being black, and like try to compare those two. Like, there's no difference between like the dark skin experience and the black
Right.
experience. I don't
So it's
think.
like people can literally treat you the same way for different reasons, and you will have no idea. But Prime would still think, oh, that's the black experience.
Yeah, because I just literally said that the same thing. The dark skin experience is still the black skin experience. I mean, the black skin experience in America, right? If you eat Prime again, explain two people who are dark skinned, even though they're from different ethnicities, right, different countries around the world, right? They're still perceived as black. They're still having all those experiences. They're still living the black experience because of the color of the skin, right?
Yeah.
This
Oh,
There's
is
unifying
sure,
characteristic.
sure.
If you the dark skin and light skin experience may be different,
yeah.
but then there is like some form of unifying characteristics that are very large that both these individuals, no matter where they are in the spectrum, will experience. And then there's the white skin experience, which is not the light skin experience. I don't know why it would ever be over. You could be white, and it's not like, yeah, all right, maybe like you get tanned, you go get you manually tan yourself, and then perhaps then like you're perceived differently. Well, then guess what? You're not experiencing the white experience if you tan yourself and then people perceive you in some other way. Like they say, like, you're no longer white, you're this now. Like, yes, because it is based off of them looking at you and then perceiving you in a way and perhaps discriminating against you. And like that's part of that experience. Like it's part of the experience of having human skin in America.
I could say that you can have more of an experience and less of an experience, right? Rachel Dolezal is her. I think she's having, or at least she had, whatever, a black experience, right? Is her black experience equal to our experience or a black woman's experience, no.
I mean, she's treated like a black person there. Why not?
No.
According to what you're
I mean,
saying.
no. And this is why let me point out, because she didn't grow up that way, right? She didn't grow up. She grew up, white lady, right? And so like the totality of her life, right? Like we can measure her black experience, and she would not have as much of one, right? You can compare it with bringing light skinned people, right?
No, I think when she
sorry,
was
go ahead.
growing up, she had a lot of experiences black. She just got the negative experience of looking white while black. So all the black people around her probably clown her all the time, right?
I
Like
think,
that's what happens to a lot of like mixed race people or like white passing people that are black.
I think that Rachel Dolezal or whatever, whoever in this example that we're using, like if they experienced like some form of like implicit bias placed on them because of the color of their skin for being like dark or like black, being black, then yes, they had a black experience. They may not have had in totality their lives they've had like the black experience, whatever that is, or like the quintessential livelihood of like a black upbringing, a black adulthood, etc. But yeah, that's an extremely powerful learning experience. If I took that one individual and put them right next to perhaps the individual from the article who never physically looked like they were black and was white, and then they had black parents and all of these things, yes, I would say Rachel Dolezal's experience, if she was like perceived as black and had these experiences where people placed their implicit biases on her, is a stronger experience in those specific respects.
Yeah.
Like I'd say, like Rachel Dolezal was persecuted when she went into stores for looking black, and then the person in the article said, "Oh yeah, they're persecuted for going to stores because of their heritage." I would listen to what Rachel Dolezal was saying on that experience more so. I think it's a more strong experience, even if the other person has black parents.
Yeah, this isn't binary, right? Like you're white or black, right? Or your blackness is on or off, right? It's like a fucking light bulb, right? In terms like you have a dimmer switch, right? Like you can turn up the intensity of the experience, and you can measure how long that light bulb has been on, right? And then from there,
But
you
the
can go.
experience, yes. Whether they're black or not, I think it's a bullying. It's true or false.
That's where we disagree. Sure, fair enough. I think that we can measure it like that because it's not real, right? Like again, there are so many people who are black, who are African, right? And who their entire, and I'm not talking about like white passing, but like their entire history could have been, in terms of their family, could have been affected by like European colonization, right? Just as our families have been affected by European colonization, right? Brutal treatment, but for whatever reason, their features are not what we look at as black, right? Maybe not white, but not what we consider to be black, right? And to say that you would say that they're not black, well, okay, sure, all right, because the hereditary didn't matter, because the hereditary didn't matter.
While we talking about Rachel, didn't Rachel sue the school she was at because she was like, wasn't it some racist, like it wasn't racist, but wasn't it some silly shit that she did where she was either trying to get a black scholarship or I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. She tried to apply for something and then put her race as black and they denied her.
No, I think she said they denied her because she was white or something. I can't remember exactly. I have to look it up. But like, yeah, man, Rachel is a case, man. Y'all wild.
Joe,
I'll look up the lawsuit.
Joe, what's your verdict?
I'm eating popcorn right now. This is fun. I'm still in the camp. Kind of, my point kind of remains unchanged, where I think we need to do a better job at, like, from an individual level, resisting racialization, while at the same time keeping a check on historical discrimination. And I think for white passing people, whether that be if you're white passing and black, white passing and Asian, white passing Hispanic, from these historically racialized groups, like you can still resist it. You can still like try to resist like society trying to affirm you to be something while still like affirming who you are. But it's a really hard balancing act because again, like if we are trying to resist racialization, there's some people who their entire identity is built upon their racialization. And I don't know what happens to those people moving forward in a society like this, but I think it's something we should like at least humor the idea and see where it goes.
I
Also,
think
my mic might be fucked because I moved my gate. So
No, you're
if
fine.
it's-
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you want to say something?
I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Um. But Joe, I need a verdict on what I said, not what you. What I
Hey,
said.
can you run it? Can you run it by me one more? I was
okay,
looking up
like-
what Gambit was saying.
That basically
I'm
appearance.
so sorry.
The aesthetics is reality, right? Like perception is reality. That if people perceive you to be black, right? You have all these black experiences, right? Those black experiences make you black because being black is based on, like, the human purpose of it all is to give a certain set of people a certain experiences in this nation, right? Like terrible experiences. We are going to treat them in this particular way because that's useful to us, right? So we're going to create this category which will make it easier for us to discriminate against them. So the black experience is by definitionally tied to that history, right? And nothing new of being hereditary, because that wasn't a thing. They didn't go and get black people, right? They got people from different African tribes, right? And then later on, they came up with this idea of they're black, right? They just added all that up and like, oh, you're black, and we're gonna erase all that ethnicity, all that stuff that doesn't matter anymore, right? And when we perceive you to be as black, well, we're gonna put you in chains, and that's continued on from there. So, like, if you are perceived as black, right, you'll have all these black experiences. Doesn't matter where the fuck you came from, right? And so those are black experiences, and in those moments, you are black.
I could see that for sure. And I guess my counter would be like, we're at a point in society where we, gosh, this is gonna sound so strange to say, but black people have enough resources to actively resist people trying to pull back to previous levels of discrimination. Where like we can kind of like now, I think Black Americans in particular are more equipped to be able to resist that racialization that can be that exists on both like the ideological left and right. Like the idea that because of this past discrimination, black people might be behind in certain areas. That's kind of where it kind of manifests itself in the left. So you'll have people on the left like unironically saying that tests should be easier for because of historical struggles that black Americans have faced. And then it's like, okay, if we dissect that for longer than 30 seconds, it's like, okay, that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
You said black people are stupid.
Yeah. And then
this is because of the white majority. Like,
Right.
it's because they're more willing to listen to the black minority. It's not because black people are so much more powerful, which we are. Like, black people have come a long way, but it's not like we're just so powerful we can make these decisions now and do these
Right.
things. At the end of the day, you're kissing the ring. The ring is just coming out more often.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that when I say more equipped to challenge it, like we don't have as many well, unless we ask a few people on the internet, like we don't have as many clear and present dangers in our everyday navigation. Like, so we're able to resist certain things that might exist ideologically without there being like cops literally knocking at our door or some shit.
I think
I don't know. I don't
I don't know
agree.
if that makes sense.
I don't agree. I feel like there's a large grouping of black individuals as being violent, and like black women as being over sexualized, and black
sure.
women seen as over sexualized and black men as seen as overly violent, and those two things seem really persistent. And so you could
Okay.
be like someone who is like wealthy and black or what have you, and still be seen as you have this capacity to be more violent than like somebody who has the same upbringing as you, perhaps. Or you can be like a black woman that has an experience or lives in a neighborhood that's with a bunch of white women and has a very like upper class experience, and then like is perceived as overly sexualized, as perhaps, oh, you know how to do these dances and you know how to twerk and you've been with all these men and you've done these sex acts. What do you think about it? When that may not be the case. And like those things, like just because there's added like power, wealth in the black community, doesn't seem like they're going away, because I feel like those things are set in place by white society and reinforced. So when they show black people doing these things, it's almost like the majority reinforces and says we like that, and we incentivize that behavior. And you see it in our pop culture. You see it in music. You see it when you hear certain songs. People say, "Oh, I don't want rap music to sound a certain way," or "I don't want black people to be in certain. I don't want to see angry black men anymore." But then they be given these roles to Samuel L. Jackson to do what he does. Like they want.
Oh, so you're saying
incentivize it.
Yeah, so you're saying, just so I'm understanding, like, which I think I probably agree with you here, is that the individual effort of resisting racialization is not enough, because the dominant society is still going to create the whatever the overarching narrative
Exactly. They're going to give you the path to
and I agree with
success,
that.
and they'll allow you to choose between them. But in the end, it's determined by them if you're going to be successful or not.
Yeah, because then like it doesn't matter because I do agree with that, by the way, just to be clear. And I'm just reinforcing it for the dumb fuck in chat who probably isn't catching this. Where it's like, while we can make individual efforts to tackle these things and tackle these problems, like one common thing that you hear on the right is like resisting the N-word, where it's like someone calls you a nit and you're like, whatever, that doesn't bother me. Sure, that's an individual act that we can all do as Black Americans, but that's still not going to stop the, how do I say this in a way that's TOS friendly, to stop the ability of people using those type of things in a hateful way by those in like positions of power and stuff like that. Like that will always exist. And I'm like, I see what you're saying. I do agree with that aspect, by the way. Like,
I wanna extend like an olive branch to kind of connect our ideologies, because I do agree with you that, you know, kind of like essentially, or not essentially, effectively, there's no difference if somebody thinks you're Black, right? So whatever they think, they're still going to treat you the same way. So I was like, okay. So I want to make the distinction that there's something that I think me and Gambit would say is essentially Black, being the consistent line of being hereditarily Black, right? And then there's something called like you're being treated as effectively Black, which I don't disagree with. Like, yeah, sure, you're being treated as effectively Black by what people think you are, right? And then once they find out your essentialism on a personal level, they're going to treat you differently, because your essentialness matters more than what your effectiveness.
Exactly.
What they
100% agree. That's the only thing I was going to add, and you added it. I couldn't say it better. There is a big difference. The difference is it can change if they get new information. Just like Rachel Dolezal.
I heard a phrase it's an interesting phrase. I remember from when I was like 16 or 15, where they say that in the North they love the group and hate the individual, and in the South they hate the group and love the individual. And I like that. I don't know. I just want to
they love
that out
the group and hate the individual.
Yeah,
in the North. They love Black people in general, but hate individual Black people. And
yeah,
then,
so it'd be like, it wouldn't be necessarily towards Black people. It'd just be like, all right, they'll say like, we love diversity and we love these individual, like we love these groups, and then individually you don't feel that, you don't get that connection at all. Whereas then you hear like the South, you have these ideas of that they hate the group, but then when you speak to people, all their anecdotes are like, yeah, my neighbors love me, I have great relationships with the people around me, etc. And it's interesting.
Yeah, I could see that.